Well, look at all those people commenting already. It's amazing. Look at that huge crowd of... Oh, wait. Yeah, so hit the subscribe button, and then the notification bell, and then all videos. That's right, everybody. Hit the subscribe button, the bell, and then all. If you don't do that, they hardly ever let you know when there's a video put out. Or notify you, I guess is the term. So... that's all I wanted to tell you.
Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
Alright, first thing everybody, go out and share the video. Every single one of you. Before we even get started, go out and share the video somewhere, the live stream, because we gotta right some wrongs that are out there. Okay, we gotta right some wrongs. So you definitely need to go out and share the video in your favorite communities out there. And mainly because we only have 143 people watching, and that's when you know the show will never get even above 300. So go ahead. Go out and share. Looks like the bed is turned around. I'm not sure you get to see the dogs today. Well, Chloe's feeling better. But now Blue, it looks like his neck is sore or something. I don't know. He's kind of... he doesn't seem like he feels that good. Alright, so I'm serious though. Go out and share the link in a group somewhere, okay? Don't go, well, somebody else is doing it. Do it yourself, alright? Alright. Awesome. Richard Watts, awesome. Richard Watts doxing himself. Well, thank you. Who else is going to share? Go ahead. Let me know when you share it. Oh, apparently everybody, I'm jealous because my name isn't associated with the Delphi leaks. I'm not on those documents. I'm jealous. I mean, have you ever heard anything as ridiculous as that? I'm so happy. Look at all the crap they have to go through. Live stream just now. Oh, really? Yeah, that guy's an idiot. Why would you even be on that live stream? Man, that guy's a... I mean, Rick Snay is one of the most ridiculous... he's not even a true crime YouTuber. He's an idiot, okay? That's it. He always goes, I'm so much better than you. And I always go, let's see, you have 4,000 subs, and I have 124,000. And, how does that work? You're better than me, and yet all you ever do is do true crime gossip, rumor, and bullcrap. He thinks, he goes, Richard Allen's an innocent man. He's languishing in prison. Okay, well, you know what? He does have to have a trial. Who knows? But that guy doesn't even have bail. The prosecution wants to do the trial as quick as possible because they have it. Now the defense realizes that. Now, hey, they were just playing a little game of chicken there. Now they're doing all these motions trying to extend the trial out, etc., etc. It's ridiculous, all right? And if you're wondering who that is, that's the idiot that was on the documentary that I was on. Well, never mind. Why bother? Why bother? Yes, hit that like button, you guys. And let's get this, got to get this going. Get out there and share the video. We've only got 259 people watching. And we still have a goal tonight too, everybody. It's always the same, every single night. I know, it gets old, it gets old. I did do a video today. I think it was, well, it was interesting because later then, somebody shared with me the guy that found or saw his car with the tire change. He said he saw it right where at the crime scene. But law enforcement said that he was changing his tire in that range that I showed you. So somebody doesn't have their information correct. I tend to believe more, actually, the guy that saw it. But maybe he had a flat tire in another area first at a second location. I mean, who knows? But it sounds like he was in the area for quite a long time. I'm gonna go turn the bed around over there so you can see the dogs at least. Yeah, I don't think Blue feels that good. I think he's like sore or something. He's having a hard time lifting up his head. Sometimes I put him on my chest and I massage him for a while. You know, I've had that actually make him all better all of a sudden, but didn't seem to work today. Thank you, Dana. Appreciate it. All right, so what was the... Oh, yeah, so here's the thing. So you guys have heard of this David Solomon guy, right? Put a 1 if you've heard of this David Solomon guy who's been calling in to various shows claiming that Stephen Stearns abused him, etc., etc., etc. And how many of you were like, wow? Put a 1 if you're like, whoa, that's so interesting. I see, I immediately, when I saw him show up on the particular show he was on first, that guy, who's kind of similar to another YouTuber out there, I thought, oh God, here we go. Here we go. Here we go, everybody. Hey, look at that. Ron Logan is not your bish. Thank you. That guy he's such a joke, Ron Logan. he really is. Right, and so I heard him, he was on another show today that was 3 hours long. He was on it yet last night. And I won't even mention it because it doesn't deserve a view, but the host of that show seemed skeptical, but let him continue on for 3 hours trashing various individuals using their names. All right. So one of the people's names he was trashing, his name was James, and he gave his last name, and I looked him up. He does live 4 blocks from the school in Grants Pass, and I called him up. I called up the wife, actually, and her name is Shiloh, so I called her up, and she, let's see, she didn't answer the phone. He answered the phone, because apparently that was their phone, and they're divorced or not together currently, whatever. I mean, this is 12 years ago, right? And so I called the number, he answered the phone, and we talked, and I told him, I go, hey, have you seen the stuff that's going on out there? It's insane what they're saying. And he was like, oh, Jesus. This guy has been stalking them. There's a guy that does a lot of border videos, and he's always making videos that you guys all think, ooh, he's always there. Look at that. He's done the same thing to many people. So this guy's out there and just stalking the family. And I recorded him, and at the end I asked him, he goes, yeah, that's fine, because I like to record and then I can go back and listen again, but sometimes I'll ask, do you mind if I play some of this? And so I'm actually talking to the guy that he claims. It was absolutely disgusting what David Solomon was accusing these people of. Like one time he was saying there was 70 children in this house, and I looked at the house. It's a small little ranch house. It's not, you couldn't even fit 70 people in there. Okay, and just all of his stories. One of them was about, so that was the first one. I was like, oh, Jesus, really? And then he said, well, how come the police haven't done anything? And then he goes, oh, because there was a police officer was one of the guys in there. Of course now. Okay, and then it's a cop cover-up too. And it's just ridiculous, you guys. I'm just going to tell you, please, if you're out there, share with everybody. It's insane. So after I communicated with this guy, he and his ex-wife, Shiloh, they're at the police station right now as we speak, because this guy, he actually would show up in the area. Let me just play the damn thing, all right? But come on, you guys, let's get going on the gold tonight. All right, here we go. I'm just going to move it forward, probably because there was the first time I called and he said, "Oh, I'll call you back," because he had a meeting he had to go to. Let's see the way he said it.
Did he publish this phone number? How did you get this number?
Oh, I just found it on Ben Verified. Yeah, I'm just calling to check. Hey, this guy is claiming these things. I also like to let people know because it sounded so outlandish that I thought I would call and check and either let you know or whoa, this is real. But it's, to me, it sounded so absurd with the way the story was sounding. And I'm not really sure how Stephen Stearns could be involved because that's in Florida and he lived in California at one time, but that was when he was 17. Doesn't really make sense to me.
I'm gonna just
nothing, Danielle. Pay attention to the audio, okay?
He did travel with his mother from coast to coast. I know because another victim of his accusations his name is Brian Davis.
Uh-huh.
He lives
right, so Brian Davis was another name that he mentioned on that podcast. Okay, so that's another victim of David Solomon. So what's weird, what sucks right now? I'm showing you this to help, perhaps help somebody. I don't know the reality of anything. I could just sense that there was something wrong about these interviews, and I'm putting it out there because here's the alternate, all right? This is the alternate story, which actually seems more real than anything, okay? Do you guys, are you interested in listening to this? But what sucks is it has nothing to do with the case, really. We're now debunking some wacko who called a show to claim that he was, assaulted by Stephen Stearns years and years ago and accusing all these other people. But I'm playing it because it is related to sort of this recent everybody's like, Gray, have you heard this interview? Gray. And I'm just like, why do you keep bringing it up, everybody? The guy's full of crap. Haven't you listened to it? All right, so here we go.
He lives in Tennessee, and he is a published author, much more well known than I am. And
don't you find it odd too that this guy, this David Solomon, every one of the people that he's accusing are other writers, and he's claiming to be a writer himself, and wow, what a miracle! Give me a break.
He's also been stalked and accused, and all sorts of stories told of him.
Well, then it probably wouldn't surprise you, though, that he's also one of the people mentioned as being at that house.
At my house? Here?
Yeah, like you guys were all there, and you're, like he said that Shiloh was, I'm just going to tell it bluntly, like having, like I've mentioned before, it's just everybody. So Shiloh said that she was assaulting her own kid. Okay, was coming in and out of the room. You got to listen to this thing because it's, you could probably get it taken down. I don't really understand. It just seems like so irresponsible to let something like that with actual names. Yeah, you'd never see me letting somebody go on and on like that on here. The people who called in were just telling their stories about Stephen Stearns, right? Not accusing some other people of something on it. But I'm calling you because a lot of times people can do something about it, Thanks, Amber Maiden and K-Me. YouTube, you can. But that's what he says in the video, and he names multiple people. Sounds like it was a vendetta, sort of.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay, I'll take your advice, and I'll see if I can contact YouTube. And
why do you think? Why do you think he's going after you guys specifically? Just because of your interactions earlier in life? Like one, he said it was a youth pastor or something like that.
Yeah, his youth pastor tried to warn us not to take him in. We honestly, like, Charlotte and I, we were newly married. We were young. We were 20, 21 years old. We had a couple of young children, and Shiloh met him on Facebook, just chatting in a Brian Davis's group. They were fellow fans of his fantasy series,
mm-hmm.
and they became friends, and they bonded over, geeking out, that kind of stuff. And at the time, we thought he was sick. But he was a minor, and he was telling about his mother, the cancer, and Shiloh was moved with pity, and so she agreed to have him stay with us while his mother underwent chemotherapy. The idea was to spare him.
So the thing is that David Solomon put all this in the story. So like I always say, like with Jodi Arias and everybody else, a lie's easier to tell if you weave in factual pieces of information. So yeah, he was staying there, etc., but all of the other accusations appear to be completely baseless and just this guy's like a stalker.
The trauma of seeing his parents go through the symptoms of chemo. So we were doing what we thought was our Christian duty, and like I mentioned, his youth pastor tried to warn us. We didn't listen, and we drove up to Oregon City.
So
back down.
His youth pastor, what's his name?
I think it was Seth. I have it written down on a document. Off the top of my head, I don't know exactly.
He kind of mentions everybody. I don't remember every name that he said, but he just keeps talking. So what was the warning about from the youth pastor?
That of the tall tales of the accusations, that the youth pastor was also a victim at that time of the receiving end of lies, and trying to get his reputation, trying to get him to lose his job.
Yeah, he was saying that that he was 18 or almost 19 at the time, but he said he could qualify as a kid because he was sheltered his whole life, and
he was definitely malnutritioned. Like I'm confident that when he stayed with us, he had a very, very strict diet. He could only eat organic blue tortilla chips and unflavored, unseasoned organic chicken breast. And he was just very, his teeth, missing teeth, crooked teeth, terrible hygiene, very thin, anemic, bony. Like his mother was not taking care of him very well.
I mean, were you guys able to give him different foods and everything? Or is that what he still wanted to eat while he was with you guys?
That's what he still wanted to eat. We tried to plump him up
Yeah.
as best we could, yeah.
Well, the weird thing is a lot of times I dated a woman that had an autistic child, and he just would only eat certain foods. So it might not necessarily be that the parents didn't, like he wouldn't eat anything. You could make a steak with a potato, and he'd only want Cheetos and something, and she would give him just the Cheetos, and that's all he would ever eat. He'd never eat.
He came from the position that he was under the impression that he had a medical condition, and his diet was handed to us from his mother. His mother gave us a list of things he could only eat. So it was definitely her command, her instructions that we followed.
Wow. And how long did he stay with you guys?
A week, 8 days in total.
Well, so it was just 8 days, and then how did it end? I guess is a good way to. I'm gonna see what he says. I haven't got to that point. I want to see what he says later.
He stayed with us in Grants Pass for about 3 days, and during that time, which he would tell stories of his father living in Medford, next town over, and how his father had attempted to kill him and his mother time and time again, physical abuse. So he was just deathly afraid of this figure, this imaginary father that we had no idea if it was real or not. But that created an environment of paranoia in my home. My children were afraid. My wife was afraid. Any knock on the door, like the pizza man, the mailman, was seen as danger. And it got to the point where my wife encouraged me to quit my job and take the kids and up and leave and move to flee the city, to go up north. I thought that was obviously a little extreme, and I wasn't sure of the validity of his claims about this father of his. What ended up happening was we went to visit my wife's sister, who lived in Seattle, the Seattle, Washington area.
Mm-hmm. So
we drove up there, and they stayed up there for the remainder of the duration. And then I didn't go with them. I stayed home working. But I received a phone call from Shiloh, and she told me that she figured out it was all a lie. She said like it was just too much, and then it just all clicked and made sense that none of it was true, because she was just too trusting. And then confrontation with him, obviously, like, he was upset. He didn't like.
Hey, Anthony, whatever your name, Claiborne the dipshit. I'll talk about whatever I want to talk about on here, because it's really important to call out nonsensical garbage, okay? Now, if you want to go watch the garbage, you're more than welcome to, but that makes you an embarrassment, all right? Go ahead and do so. All right, here we go.
He didn't like the fact that we called him a liar, that we challenged his stories. He took that personally. He got defensive. And
yeah, and so what we're listening to right now, you guys have all seen the legendary David Solomon out there on various shows, and everybody's like, how can I get a hold of David Solomon? How can I get a hold of him? He's full of shit, you guys. He's absolute. I mean, didn't you realize it when you realized that he writes books and he's on these shows, and everywhere he goes, he has different stories? Okay, I just don't believe him at all. I believe this guy here. He's talking rationally, clearly, telling us, well, Gray, he could just be making this up. You know what? I'd rather believe this guy. Okay? I think that whenever you have these big cases like this, people come out of the woodwork and try to get their moments of fame, like this Anthony Claiborne jackass up here. Hey, let me make a comment on the show, 40 minutes after he was talking about other channels. All right, here we go.
Then they just bought him a bus ticket and sent him back to Oregon City.
Wow. Yeah, and then because of that, he's just had this. But you guys are having one of those crazy starts to the night again. So if you're out there, You guys see what we do on this channel. When you guys support the channel, it helps me keep the channel going. There is hardly any ad revenue on these live stream shows. That's kind of what I do every single night. And it's the super chats and channel memberships, etc., that actually help the channel and allows me to also give away a ton of the money. At the end of each month, I give away thousands and thousands of dollars. And we've already done $2,000 during the month, and we're only on day 14. All right, so whenever we have these lull starts like this, the whole night usually ends up being a tough one. It's vendetta against you guys all these years, huh?
We've seen him in Grant's Pass several times since then. He's legitimately followed us from the library to a restaurant, and then as soon as we got out of the car, they parked right next to us, got out of the car, and confronted us. He's shown up at my doorstep on more than one occasion. He's called me.
Look how creepy this is. Hey, thanks, Paulette Leonard. Look how creepy this is right here. Like, he'd already moved away and everything, and he shows up back into the town.
Left me terrible voice messages, threatening to call the police on me, mentioning about getting hit by a car on multiple occasions, losing his memory, and he would question me and ask me time and again to recall the events of what happened because he suffered memory loss, and so he wanted me to fill him in on the details over and over and over again. It was really odd.
Yeah, that's weird.
To this day, I don't know what he wanted because they never asked money from us. They never tried to scam us. He didn't steal any of our valuables. Like I said, we took him in and we fed him, but there wasn't this obvious ploy as far as like a scam artist is concerned. And yeah, so I really don't know what or why everything happened the way it did.
It's wild. Let's see. Well, when you say they, who's they?
Oh, his mother and him.
I mean, the mom was part of it, like him driving over there, and wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, she would.
So this is the mother that apparently had cancer, is driving over there, bringing him to sort of. I mean, that's creepy.
She would be with him when they show up on my doorstep, and when they get out of the car.
So she probably never even had cancer then.
That's my guess.
I bet you there was something like, I don't know, just you being there, they could accuse you of some stuff, just like he's doing right here. I don't know. I mean, what is he going to get out of it? It's just seems really odd.
Yeah, it's been more than 10 years now, and honestly, like I just want to be done with it and forget about it. The fact that he's talking about it now and on YouTube and being interviewed by people who believe him.
I've already explained it, really Nicole, like 5 times already. Yeah, well, it seems like he's jumping on it. I mean, apparently he says he writes books. I mean, does he? Is he a writer? I mean, I've seen a picture. He's got like glasses, short hair. Maybe I can't remember when I saw the picture, but.
Well, I mean, this day and age, anybody can be a writer. Self-publishing and the internet, make your own blog, your own website.
He said he wrote a book in a 400-page book in 9 hours.
I'm sure he said that. Among other things too, like when he did stay with us, he would mention about how he was good friends with this author and that author, and he had all these connections and he knew all these people, and a fantasy like he has.
I think it's rude of you, Nicole, because you always want me to stop the show to give you an answer. Why don't you just rewind? Okay. The answer is this is one of the people that David Solomon trashed on a recent show. I found him and talked to him, and I believe this guy. Okay, I do not believe this isn't a Me Too thing where I got to believe David Solomon, this guy that's a writer who shows up on all these shows and pumping him up. Okay, I believe this guy right here.
It's like this fantasy idea of reality that he's much more than what he really is.
Thanks, Angela Alex.
So
strange. It's got. I mean, I don't know how you can get him to shut down, but he's been on 2 shows now. I don't know if on the first one he mentioned it was more about Stearns. He wanted to associate himself with Stephen Stearns, this guy that's just ended up, like having, child pornography with his girlfriend's daughter, and then she ends up dead, found in some shrubs or whatever, and he wants to be saying, oh yeah, he assaulted me too. That just sounds totally bogus, doesn't it? I mean, knowing your story, it's just, that can't be true.
I gotta help but wonder, like, how he and his mother were able to easily manipulate my wife and I.
That makes sense, Nicole? Did I get it for you?
So he's probably really going heavy on the victimhood way.
Oh yeah, he was talking about how he tried to fight back, but he got like beat up really bad. He tried though. He tried to fight and save some of the victims.
I'm sure it's a very engaging story.
He explained it already.
I have no doubt.
Well, I had red flags. In the first hour, you listen to it and just go, I don't know, that sounds ludicrous right there. Yeah, that sounds ludicrous. And then I thought, well, you know what? Why don't I? Okay, I don't know why I have to always do this all the time. I have to pause the show to repeat stuff that was already said. He said that when this guy was 18 years old, and he was the guy that I'm interviewing. So when David Saltman was like 18, they thought he was 16. Because that's what he claimed. And then, so this guy that I'm interviewing here and his wife met him on another author's Facebook page, and they felt sorry for him, and they, he said his mom had cancer and she was going to be doing chemo, and they thought, well, why don't we take him in for a little bit, and while his mom's going through chemo, because why should a kid have to go through all this? So they brought him from Oregon City to Grant's Pass. They're a really Christian group, and they do that. Okay, they try to be willing to help people like that. Okay, and sometimes that's what you get though, is these crazy people. So that's why he was staying in the house. He was picked up in a van. They drove him over there. So the story has elements that are true. But all the other stuff is just sort of this fantasy put in there. Does anybody believe that there were 70 kids in a really small little house, like he said? It's insane. And he brings up the names of the kids in there. That other YouTuber was irresponsible for allowing it to be on there, naming kids and people that are being accused of being, like a pedophile ring, straight out on the internet. Okay, you can't have that shit. Now, if you want to claim that Stephen Stearns did it, I guess that's okay, because he already is one, right? Try to find one of the people he's talking about and just see. That's the same guy. So now, I don't know. And that guy, let's see, it'd be cool. So that channel that you mentioned right there, if you could just remove that comment. We don't publicize other channels on here, okay? So the channel you just mentioned, he's one of those crappy, sensationalistic, fake YouTubers that everybody loves watching, and he had that guy on first, okay? Then the guy was like, ooh, 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 and he calls another show, and he's on there for 3 hours, throwing out a ton of stuff. Yeah, he wasn't trafficked, though, Carolyn, okay? It's fake news. Okay, that's what I'm going to tell you. I always record stuff when I'm talking. All I can say is I don't know what happened to him when he was younger or whatever. Like I believe this guy in the story, though. Okay, I believe this guy. I don't put it out on YouTube or anything like that, but I'm going to. He's shitty. United Sites. Get the hell out of here.
But they really didn't take this. What happened to us in our story? They didn't take it seriously. They didn't view him as a threat.
Well, what you could do now is take that video in that he did and show them. Now there's proof. Because now he did a 3-hour interview. But it might, the sad part is the police might go, oh wow, well now we need to investigate what he's saying. So you know how they are. It's just like, who the hell knows?
Well, if they want to come visit, I have nothing to hide.
Yeah. Well, do you mind? I record these calls. I don't play them. I just want to be able to listen back and get the notes. But is there any part of it I could play to debunk that? Because I'd like to try to help reverse it. You know, like, I mean, so that's basically about it right there, right? I mean, so I think this guy is going around and he has a vendetta against these people. Yeah, I think, and don't you think it's creepy as hell that he took his mom back in? I mean, like his mom drove him back into Grant's Pass, and they started like stalking them and then showing up. I mean, what a weird situation that is. And all this time, for years, he's still doing it. And you know what it reminds me of is some of these online stalkers that I have. You know, they always show up in the shows. They're always commenting on various platforms, and they're just like this guy. They're just like David Solomon. Absolute nut jobs who have nothing better to do with their lives, going around stalking and trying to terrify people. For me, I just at this point I just ignore. It's just a total waste of time. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, I think he, and I don't know what he has, but he's just running around doing all kinds of, you know, well, it sounds like he's stalking different people, and you know, this is a big deal that a YouTuber allowed it to be on his show for 3 hours, as they sat there and accused multiple people out there with no information. Now, if the guy wanted to say, yeah, Stephen Stearns assaulted me, you know, like if he said that, it'd be like, okay, you know, people could deal with that because it's. But he went on and on talking about other people, and then lumped them in with Stephen Stearns. And now, you know, I think you have to obviously not believe that Stephen Stearns had anything to do with it, with this guy. And it just feels like that's kind of the reality anyways. Okay. This guy's an author. He just miraculously happened to be assaulted by a killer that's going around. I mean, give me a break. All right. Was his name ever mentioned by this guy prior? I bet it wasn't. I bet it wasn't. And what sucks is now I'm not defending Stephen Stearns here. I'm saying we all know what Stephen Stearns was doing. I just think this guy's lying about that having any involvement with Stephen Stearns. And I think all of you should be going out there and helping debunk this guy, because his name's out there. People have been posting his homes in various places. It's scary now for that guy. And is that fair at all? Jesus. What a joke. Thank you, CaliGal3. How's it going? Oh, look, I got the lemon hugging a baby something. Yeah, so you guys have all heard that stuff, right? Most of you. I just don't want the enthusiasm to continue on, because for 3 days people keep messaging me, Gray, did you see this? Did you hear this? Oh my God, Gray, see if you can get him interviewed. See if you can get an interview with him. And I don't want to. Is that okay? I don't want to interview this guy. He sounds like a nut job. Not going to do it. That's wild. Those things are... What things are crimes? What are you talking about? It reminds me of the guy who was saying false things about Dylan Mortensen. Oh, well, that's what happens all the time. People have nothing to contribute, so they invent something. It's much like the people in the Delphi case who have just been abominations, and they are mentioned on this defense document to help support their hearing that they're going to have here, and try to do a counter narrative on the other side, and they're all excited that their names are mentioned on there. And they think that I wish I was too. I mean, I don't want to waste any time. All these people have to spend all this time writing notes and everything, and I don't inject myself into cases like they do. You know, they sit around and try to get a hold of the lawyers and everybody and go, ooh, how about this theory? How about this one? And they're part of it. So they, you know, it's like you inject yourself into a case for popularity's sake. They'll tell you, oh no, it's because I think this person's innocent. Huh? Hey, he said it was okay for me to play it. I always record those types of calls, though. See what I'm saying, Lightworker? See, your brain doesn't work quite right. You sound really stupid, all right? Your brain doesn't work. I told him on the show that I'm recording it because I like to go back and listen to it, and he said, sure, you can play it on the show later in the interview. If you want me to keep playing, there's another few minutes on there, but it's just all boring, sort of like tightening up stuff. Okay? He's messaged me too, all right? You guys are so stupid. People like you, man. You're a dipshit, Lightworker. Get the hell out of here. Block that guy. All right? Now, so it says, that's not the one. Hold on, let me get to the one. He said, people in the chat below the video claim he was vetted and verified, but you're the only person to call me for my side. Did you hear that, Lightworker, you asshole? Did you hear what I just read to you? The guy that I called literally said I was the only person to verify his side. Okay. What a scumbag. Outside of his time with us in January of 2012, I can't say everything else is 100% false, but my gut tells me he is not trustworthy, generally speaking. I'm meeting Shiloh at the police station now to see about our options. All right, there you go. And there you go. So I'm actually proud of myself. See all these trolls showing up in here, you guys? This is troll night in here. Just block every one of them. Every one of them. Just block them immediately. We're not wasting time tonight. Why are you so condescending? What was condescending about anything I just said? You know, was I pretending that I knew something that you didn't? Yeah, I'm actually feel good that I let him know. Because without him knowing, he'd have no protection at all. And all these whack jobs would be showing up at his house, and he'd hopefully get some protection, and he's able to defend off the crazy people. All right, so look at we right now, currently on the show, we are way over here on the left-hand side of the page. So if you guys are out there and you know what we do on this channel, if you're able to support the channel, that would be great. I hate always having to bring it up these days. I don't know what the hell the difference is today other than 4 days ago. But that seems to be what I'm having to do. So that is how it works on here, is you guys support the channel. Allows me to keep doing it. And then at the end of each month and during the month, I'm able to give a ton of the money away too. All right. Thank you. Light gray is real and has facts, not make-believe stories. Well, that's just true. I mean, the thing is I try to work through things and try to figure things out. And when I heard those stories, they just didn't sound true to me. So I went ahead and got a hold of one of the people, and that is, I believe that guy. I absolutely believe that guy. What seems more plausible? That there were 70 kids in that house, and that this guy's wife was doing something to their 5-year-old kid, and they were just rotating in and out for 3 days. And so the thing, what's interesting about it is he only stayed there for like 3 days anyways. Oh boy, this is going to be a bad one. There's nothing worse than when I give my public service announcement and it results in 0. Nothing worse. Yep. Thanks, Gray, for keeping it real. Well, I hope that guy doesn't get too many problems. That's right, Georgina Stoviker. That's right. Well, thanks, Blank Slate. I guess that we're not at 0 now. Hope they find him soon. Some friend and responsible bar owners. Huh? Find who? What are you talking about? And thank you, a Blank Slate. Okay, so I guess one of the things I was going to bring up on, well, let's do the Riley Strain. I guess we can play this one. Let me see if it's loud.
The police department's urban search and rescue team
only comes out of one
highly trained
side.
Group of individuals have been searching the
This is Riley
bank
Strain.
and the river itself using a sonar-equipped boat. Thus far, we've found no sign of our missing person.
Well, hold on. Let me. Now that I think about it, I was talking about Stern, so I might as well finish up on that. Thanks, Angela Alex. So here we go. So this guy right here, he commented. Remember the video that I made today? Did everybody watch the video that I made today on YouTube? Anybody? Yeah, well, look at this guy says. I gave the pictures to Scalo County law enforcement as they started their search, and they found her where I saw him. So this guy, the guy that said he saw the car, Crime Line told me I did not have enough information, but Ocello law enforcement jumped right into action. Thank God for Ocello law enforcement and Kissimmee Police Department. I saw him around 1:20 p.m. Monday on Old Hickory Tree pullover on a roundabout that has a cargo shipping container. Okay, so he saw him pulled over just like we all thought. And look at that right there. There's the cargo shipping container. Here's where he saw. Now, I don't know if it was on this side or what side, but, you know, this is the crime scene. So that is absolutely opposite of what law enforcement said in their interview, right? I mean, it's crazy. So
thank you
right
for
here.
being here. As Sheriff Mina said, this is still an active
Thank you, Claudia Dubow.
and ongoing investigation, and we are still appealing to our community for its help in this case. Please share this Crime Line bulletin on my right of Stephen Stearns. He was last seen driving a silver 2010 Lincoln MKZ. The Florida tag is IYLL82. On Monday, February 26th, between 1 and
Can't you see his
2:30
sunglasses
p.m.
on right
in the
there?
area of State Road 192 and Old Hickory Tree Road, as well as Old Hickory Tree Road and Nolte Road. During this time frame, it is believed that Stearns had a flat tire and might have been seen changing the tire in this area. If anyone saw this vehicle or noticed anything...
Yeah, so how does that even make any sense? Did you guys hear that? Because her definition is, let me get the roads turned on here. Yeah, this is Old Hickory Road right there. This is 92 and Old Hickory Road. And then right down here is Nolte Road and Old Hickory Road. So she's saying between here and there is where... and it's interesting too, because early on there was a reporter that I had right in this spot right there, and I don't even know why I have that pin there, but it's interesting that it's right in the middle of that little section there. And they said he was changing a tire in here, right? That's exactly what that press conference said. But the person who made that community post mentioned that he saw the vehicle right here. So I don't know. Hey, thanks, Eugenie. See how they're conflicting? Do you guys understand that? It's pretty weird, isn't it? It's pretty conflicting information. I saw him around 1:20 p.m. Monday on Old Hickory Tree pullover on a roundabout that has a cargo shipping container. He was in on the right-hand side, headed towards Harmony. Okay, let's see. Now we can actually figure that out. So where's Harmony? I bet it's to the right. Yep. Okay. Well, there you go. So that means his car, now we can put it right here. Well, it's weird that he would park on this side, though. Stearns parked here, headed north. And then I guess he parked here and then carried it across the street. Maybe you get a better view. Let's see. I mean, I guess if you're over here, you can see around that corner further. And definitely you can see all the way around there. So, you know, he probably waited until there was absolutely no cars coming, picked her up, and then just bolted across. But man, what did he do? Just throw her over the fence here? Or was this open? It's pretty wild, isn't it? It's called Hickory Tree Road. See, that's what's confusing. This is called Hickory Tree Road. It, you know, I thought for a minute maybe they're just confusing it, and they're saying Hickory Tree Road instead of. I mean, they're saying Old Hickory Tree Road instead of Hickory Tree Road. That's what I thought. Okay, that's what I thought. However, it doesn't make sense because they get really specific over here saying Nolte. Right, that's Hickory Road right there. Okay, and there is a 92. Well, there's Nolte there. So if you go further up, it's right here, 92 and Hickory Road. But they said Old Hickory Road, which is right there. And then they also mentioned Nolte, which is here. And Nolte, let's see, it ends right over there. So it doesn't have anything to do with this spot over here. So that was very specific. They mentioned this exact spot. Let's see, let me get to the folder. For some reason, I can't see it. Wow. There's a different Madeline I had. Madeline Kingsbury. Wow, it's almost like the whole folder just disappeared. That's not good. Oh, there it is. There it is right there. All right, so let me just draw that back in to there. 5. Okay. And there we go. So that's where they discuss on the press conference, and they said he was there in this area between 1 o'clock and 2:30. And then this other guy says he called in and said he saw the flat tire and he's parked right here. That makes more sense to me. I mean, even on the video that I made today, I said, how did they get over here if the flat tire was up there? How did that happen? The flat tire is up here, and somehow they knew to go way over here. Well, the guy in that document that we were just looking at, right here it says, I gave the pictures to Osceola County law enforcement as they started their search, and they found her where I said I saw him. Crime Line told me I did not have enough information, but Osceola law enforcement jumped right to action. Thank God for the So that's pretty amazing that he made a second call instead of going, okay, well, I don't have enough. I saw him around 1:20 p.m. And again, so you remember 1 to 2:30? So it's right in that time frame. On Old Hickory Tree Pullover. Well, see, this guy is calling this road Old Hickory Tree Road, but it's not. It's Hickory Tree Road. And then I was thinking, okay, well, he's making that mistake. But law enforcement is very specific. 92 and Old Hickory, and then Nolte and Old Hickory, which is right there. So you get it how it's sort of confusing the way they are wording. I don't have any idea how this is a thing here after this guy said something. Now, maybe it's possible that that press conference is before this, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I think, I guess it could have been that when he mentioned where she was, perhaps they just had some vague, maybe he had a flat tire in this area and he's driving. Maybe he turned here and they could see that he had a flat tire, but maybe he didn't end up changing the tire until he got all the way over to here. So maybe they had new intel later when this guy contacted them and saw him actually stopped. So there you go. What are you talking about, T-Mac? I know they are. I know they're false, Vanessa. I know that people like you want to believe them. The person I spoke to, did you listen a few minutes ago, Vanessa? I actually spoke to the guy he was accusing, the James person that drove him in a van. Did you listen? Did you listen or not, Vanessa? Let me know. Okay, let me know. I'm sure you want to believe a crazy person who writes books and shows up on all these shows talking about his books he writes. I'm sure you want to believe that. I mean, I don't have a way to verify something like that because I'm not there. All I know is the guy sounded absolutely believable. His story even matched. It's just not all the fanciful fake crap that he was saying. Now, I know it makes it more interesting and cool in your groups to look up stuff like that. And he went on for 2 more hours that I didn't listen to about other people and stuff. And after you've already realized he's not telling you the truth in the first hour, then why would I even go listen to the next 2, which I heard are absolutely awesome. Great hours. Yeah, I mean, the thing is when I had the people that called in, I mean, it's hard to vet those guys about the friends of Stern. You know, one just called in and the other one seemed to sort of match up and, you know, I'm in communication, but there's no way for me to prove, but it's just about him. Now, if they started rambling on, and, you know, and his family life and everything, if they started rambling on about other people that, you know, maybe abuse Stern and all these other things, and I wouldn't even have kept going. I wouldn't even have played any of those things. So that part's hard, you know, when you just have somebody that's calling in telling a story just about Stearns. I think, you know, that one's more acceptable, and later we can decide if we believe it or not. It's not fair, though, to have somebody being accused of something so horrific like that on YouTube, where all these crazy people, you see them show up even in tonight's chat here, wanting to believe every single word that they heard. And boy, they probably started their own little private Facebook groups looking into all the names that they came up with, and oh boy, it's awesome. The James individual, Vanessa, I've already explained it. If he looks like a guy with a flat tire, then he doesn't look like a killer. Yeah, I don't know. I think you think he just put himself with a flat tire so he could drive around? I don't think so. That'd be weird. And then literally change the tire and put on But yeah, maybe you're right. They look at him, but what it does is it draws attention to his vehicle. So it's stupid. So, people are like, oh, wait, I saw a car that looked just like that had a flat tire. Because now you're looking at the flat tire, and you might even notice the car. That car right there is virtually unnoticeable if it was just driving around on the street normally, because it's just sort of like the standard, look at this thing. Like let me just say this. If you put the word car in the dictionary has this car next to it. Right? That just looks like a car. But once it's got the flat tire, everybody goes, oh, wow, look at that guy's got a flat tire. Yeah. And they kind of remember it. Mm-hmm. Say no to lulz. Say no to lulz. Let's see. Just a second. Okay, so I just got an email from him, the guy that I was interviewing. He said, I saw your comment on the video. I appreciate you giving me a voice while protecting my identity. Thank you. I will be filing a stalking protective order against him along with Shiloh. If you are interested in hearing more details regarding my side of the story, here are some documents, including the day-by-day write-out of our time together. I don't expect any public defense or anything. I'm sharing with you in case anyone questions your stance. You can have more details at your disposal. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I'll check those things out later, and we'll bring them forward. But that I think this guy is telling the truth. He's, well, of course, Gray. That's what they all sound like. Okay, all right. Right, but that's what he's trying to get more sales. He's got a YouTube channel. That guy, the Solomon guy, is part of this YouTube channel situation too. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. Now watch, all of a sudden, he'll probably come up with some stuff about me because I said something. Oh, wow. Right. So anyways, I hope you guys go out and spread the word that David Solomon guy is loading you all up with a ton of garbage. Now, is there something else out there that he's talking about that has some grain of reality? Everything he's saying has a grain of truth in it. Like, yes, he was picked up in the van. He was driven to Grant's Pass, but it was all, the mom wanted him to be there because she was going through chemo at the time, apparently. But maybe that's in question at this point. Don't know. Let me take a look at this. Well, David Solomon is a person who's been going on to these various shows out there, and everybody getting all worked up and so excited, and it's crazy. Huh. Wow, yeah, he's had these documents for a long time. And you know what he used to go by, everybody? Solomon. He knew him by Solomon, and he called himself David on the show. And I said, oh, isn't that weird? He goes by David Solomon. Okay, so he went by Solomon. Pretty weird, pretty weird. He said he knew him by Solomon, so he didn't even use his real name. Let's see. Well, what I'll do is I'll take a look at some of these things. Maybe I'll do a members only. We can go through these documents. That'd be pretty cool. He's got like 5, not a huge thing, but that'd be pretty cool. Screenshot was looking for a spot to dump her while changing the tire. He may have actually changed the tire in one spot, then pretended in another. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. That on later in the day, I was thinking that right in this area, maybe he was changing the tire, and then he already had the fake tire on, so now he can, make it look like he's doing something, like he's just finishing it, right? Like put the jack out. Oh, look, he's got the tire on the ground. Who that said BG was his dad? I don't even remember that guy. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. He was in that documentary, Zozo. They actually put his face on there, if you can believe that. Yeah, he passed away. Yeah, he was in the documentary that I was in for... I thought his traffickers changed his name. Yeah. The actual flat gave him the idea to use it later. Let's see, what is this? Do I have a compliment in here tonight? That's a freaking miracle. Oh, hold on, I gotta switch screens for a second. Oh, yeah, there we go. I'm not sure it has everything. Video you do are great. Your mapping skills are amazing. I really like how you stick to the facts, and let's not forget all the donations you give out to solve crimes in need. Very kind and much appreciated. Well, I appreciate that. It's hard to do when we have nights like this, though, with 500, 600 people watching, and we're just absolutely struggling to get to a tiny number on a nightly basis, right? So it gets kind of difficult. But yeah, we're already this year, if you're new here, we are at $9,700 since January, given away to DNA Fund. We have a scholarship fund. We have we give money to NCMEC, Texas EquiSearch, RAIN, all kinds of great organizations, and so we've already done 2,000 this month already, and we are at 57. We did 57 last year, 62 the year before that, 42 the year before that, and 22 the year before that, getting to a total of $189,300. And it only happens when you guys are helping support the channel. I try to augment by doing the videos to try to get ad revenue, because we've seen a slowdown in these live streams for some unknown reason. All right. So, like I said before, if you want to put a super chat in there with a message, I can read it. We can discuss it, and we can try to get to our minimum goal that we have set up. Some nights we blow it away, but then the next night it just sort of, there's no rhyme or reason for the numbers on this show. It's weird. Will you be doing a show regarding the new security camera video released in Sebastian Rogers? I mean that little dark thing with that little blip. No, I won't be doing a show on that. That kind of stuff is hocus pocus nonsense to me. Thank you, Plato. Thanks for calling out what sounds like a huge pile of crap. It is a huge pile of crap. Does anybody here think that in this little house in Grants Pass, there were 70 kids in it in a 3-day period, and this guy's in there? Come on, you guys. Use your common sense. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's a small house. It's like a ranch-style house. It's not big. Yeah, well, I hope he did. I hope he got a reward. Maybe collect reported Old Hickory rear. Maybe called reported Old Hickory near 92. Now added Nolte Road as a reference. Nah, I don't think so. They said in between this area during that time frame. So no. Thank you, Puff Puffay. All right. So, you guys have any thoughts you want to add in? I felt like it was important. You know, I don't have any way to verify if, you know, but why should somebody have to verify a negative like that? Shouldn't it be up to David Solomon to prove something before he goes out and accusing people? Why should this guy have to prove it's not true? Do you get what I'm saying? It's just not, it's not the way it should be. It's garbage, you know? It's like somebody saying, you know, something like, prove to me you don't beat your wife every night. Well, how do you do that? You know, I have to go out and get my wife on and have her do a show and start talking. I mean, it's ridiculous, you guys. I think the way people just jump on things like this, that's the scariest part of social media. Watching the feverish, sort of drooling nature of everybody so excited about what this guy's sharing with us all, instead of questioning the very words that he's saying. Let's see, I walked 3.5 miles on my treadmill and listened to the first hour, or like maybe 4 miles. And I listened to the first 50 minutes, and I was listening to it, and I was just, this is ludicrous, you guys. I mean, even the host was like, man, that's unbelievable. And he had these questions they would ask that I would say, okay, that's a good one, because, yeah, that would be something that you'd want to know. But he just kept going and going and going. And there's a certain point where, I mean, how many times have you guys had me where I've hung up on people that, my God, it would have been a great show, man. We would have all this stuff going on, and this, but I just don't want to do it. It's not cool. And you guys need to look in your own mirror when you sit there and you believe stuff, and you guys sit around in these Facebook groups chatting up about it for hours and hours and hours, looking into every name that he said and trying to figure. It's just insane, all right? Now, you'd know if there was a real pedophile ring person out there, maybe it would mean something. Yeah, there's the wife again. Yeah, well, look what it's doing to this guy. It's insane. People are looking him up. I mean, I did look him up so I could contact him, but I didn't share like his house and go on social media. I just called him up, and I think he, you know, I have that folder that he just sent me, and we'll see, you know, what that brings. I mean, I'll just do one update on it if I want to, after I see it. I mean, he has like 3 different pages of documents, and then pictures, and then some audio files. So, and these are old. These aren't something, so don't you think that that means something? Here, hold on, I'm trying to download this. All right, there we go. Got it. Well, I mean, he doesn't want to go after the YouTuber, but maybe the guy, the Solomon guy, I just think it's irresponsible for people to, you know, the other show, I didn't hear anything else, but it was just merely claiming that Stearns did something. And then that's just sort of like, oh, okay, it's entertainment, who cares? I mean, Stearns is already known, we already know he's a monster. But when you start throwing random, you know, name after name after name, that's where it's up to the person doing the interview to go, okay, yeah, well, we can't verify. I don't want the name. I don't want the name, etc. Sometimes you can't catch them fast enough, but it's just the way it is. All right, let's switch over now to the Riley Strain case. And are you guys still there, Nicole B? I do have to. I look at you guys. I'm trying to work on not caring that people are asking for me to explain something that I just said 3 minutes before. Okay, so I apologize if when I come across that way, it just gets really frustrating. All right, not really sure how to do it. Okay, so I mean that's just kind of the way it is. This is how I always am every single time. It's like you just go over something and somebody. Well, let's see. There's water in a bucket that I just saw down the road. Gray, what was in the bucket? Gray, what was in the bucket? I just said there was water in the bucket. Didn't you hear me? That's how I am. Yeah. Just like Zozo saying, recap. All right. Right. That's one of the ones that bugs me the most for some reason. Yeah, he's a writer for all these great. Of course, he's a ghostwriter too, Andrea. Right? He's a ghostwriter, so we don't get to know his real name. But he's out there. He wrote The Sound of Music decades before he was even born. He's amazing. This guy is incredibly time traveled after he was born back to the 1960s and met up with Julie Andrews and came and sat down had a lovely picnic somewhere and came up with it. Unbelievable. The guy's a genius. Spelled with a J. The J stands for genius. I know. We can't all be one. That's Floyd J. Phillips. Let's see. Now we're moving on to the Riley case. I'm just going to play. Maybe I should open up Adobe Premiere and try to get the other side working. I hate when it's. Don't you hate when it's mono, coming out of one side of your speaker? I'm not a big fan of that. That's right. He was in Chad Daybell's Portal. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But aren't you guys a little bit shocked at how many people are just believing this stuff? I mean, it's like it's taken the Stearns community by storm, as if it's like this, oh my God, everybody, we've... Shameful, you know. Gray, you're so condescending, you bastard. How were we supposed to know? Well, you just use your freaking brain, okay? Open it up a little bit. All right. Here we go. I'm just going to load this one in here. Yeah, you can even see it. You see it down there, how there's only a WAV file on the top? Or like a wave signature, whatever the hell you call it. Channel. Now we got them on both sides now, and then I'm going to boost it up, and it'll sound way better. Watch this. So I'm going to do 10. And here we go.
All right.
Isn't that beautiful?
So as you have seen today, the police department's urban search and rescue team, a highly trained group of individuals, have been searching the river bank and the river itself using a sonar-equipped boat. Thus far, we've found no sign of our missing person. Sergeant Bob Nielsen is a supervisor for our homicide cold case unit. That unit is responsible for investigating missing persons, and Sergeant Nielsen's going to go over with you now where the investigation stands at this point. Sergeant Nielsen.
As Don has already mentioned, we've been out here with our urban search and rescue people today. We've also utilized my cold case detectives on foot, traveling through the area. We've also used aviation, as well as our police boat, which, as he mentioned, has sonar. In the past couple of days, we've also involved the Office of Emergency Management. They have a boat with sonar, and they also have a drone. We've had their drone operator come out here. And we've also been utilizing our downtown partnership people and just trying to make many contacts of some of the citizens walking through here, including people that live in nearby homeless camps, and have been re-canvassing for video.
I think so too, Nicole.
And reaching out to some of the bars and businesses down here, which I'd like to point out that they've all been extremely cooperative with us. And I'm open to any questions you have. So the last thing we had on the phone information was all of the pings that they did were based on exigency, so we were able to get that. Apple has been very helpful with us. We're still waiting on some phone record information. We're still waiting on that data. However, the last ping that they had was off a cell tower near Top Golf, which is on the other side of the river. However, the radius is about 2 miles, so it doesn't give us a direction to travel or more detailed information. We just know that that's the tower that it hit off of.
That's the last
We're still waiting on the phone records. We don't have the information quite back on the Apple Watch. I didn't know this. I'm not an Apple person, but apparently it has its own separate phone number. So that's one of the things that we're also waiting on is data from that as well. It doesn't...
Thank you, Allie Cake.
Tell us exactly why they went down.
She's
there
trying.
could be a variable number of reasons of why both of those went down, from we don't know how long he had them charged to, you know, turned them off. I mean, any number of things. But the data right now, the rest of it, his phone records and so forth, we're still waiting on. We know that the last ping off that tower was between 9:55 p.m. and 10 p.m. And I believe the last phone conversation or attempted conversation by one of his friends was also during that same time. That was the last time anybody had any kind of interaction with him on the phone.
We'll talk about our cameras, Bob, what we know from the cameras.
Thank you. With the camera footage that we have right now, the last known footage we have of Mr. Strain was coming in this direction, which would be towards us in a northerly direction. It caught him between the James Robertson Bridge and Woodland Street Bridge traveling this way. He was on foot. There was nobody else around him that we can see.
Here, let me see something. I think he's like right over here. It feels like he's kind of like... Let me just go down here for a second. I don't know. I can't... I know there's cement... There's those type of... That wall is over here. I don't know if he's down at that corner, around the corner. Feels like he's standing right there or something, like right in this spot, right where that wall ends. Maybe right there. I don't know. Does that make sense? Or maybe he's below, or he looks like he's down below, underneath a bridge. Let's see. Hold on. Let me go down. Could he be right there? Maybe. I know, they probably have those bricks all over the place. Hey, thanks, I've learned a lot. Katja T, Becca's, Michelle H. Man, if you guys all do that, we'll easily get to the goal. No, it looks like a base of a cell tower or something like that. It doesn't really matter where he's standing.
We do have some cameras on the back of our Birch building, which is our courthouse here. However, it doesn't catch him crossing the path of that, and they would have caught anybody on either side of the Gay Street connector. So at this point, we're kind of back canvassing, if you will, going back, possible route he may have taken from Broadway up 3rd, down towards Church Street, down in this direction, to look for any other cameras we may have missed. As well as look for any other potential employees at some of these businesses that we can talk to that may not have been here the past few days, but might have been here Friday night. So we're still going back and looking for more cameras and more witnesses. No, there's absolutely no indication whatsoever there's any kind of foul play or other crime involved. This is strictly a missing person investigation at this point. Obviously, those things can always change. We just don't know. But right now, all of our resources are dedicated towards finding him. We're not conducting a criminal investigation of any type. So we're utilizing all of our detectives and our other resources, as we mentioned, in just looking for him. Because, like I said, there's no indication he was in a fight or argument with anybody on the street, as far as we know right now, or anybody in any establishment he may have visited. So we're just solely looking at this as a missing person case. So we don't believe, based on the information we have,
Stop
so
and
far
notice
from financial
617.
institution, that he utilized any kind of ride share. However, I know that I believe the family or someone has reached out asking if they may have caught him on video, because as we all know, a lot of your ride share partners will have dash cams, and so people have reached out to them, hey, if you see anything, can you send it to us, send it to the police department? But we have not seen any evidence that he would have used that. All the footage that we have so far, he was walking, so there's no indication that he got into a vehicle, whether a cab or a ride share. And then, of course, until we get his phone records back, we can't see if he utilized any one of those types of applications as well.
The thing is his the phone last was used at a time consistent with like when he was walking. It's not too far off of those times. So it's something happened to him quick. That's why it seems like the water is the most likely answer. And man, you know, I mean, we don't know what the rate of the water is, but this is a big river, and if it had rained anytime recently, this water could be just zooming down here. Okay, we've seen, like I said before on the other last night's show, was we did a case, I don't know, it seemed like about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where this girl was on a bridge, and she just drove on the bridge really quick and jumped off and left her car running, door open and everything. And I think it was like less than a few days later, she was found 80 miles downstream. I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, you gotta admit, like, that's insane. So the river flows west, so it's down here. And look at this, is a meandering stream, very old river. Eventually, someday, this part here will collapse in with that. This will be an island over here. It'll take, you know, thousands of years. Same thing over here. This will all be cut off. This will be an island. Or won't be an island. It'll cut it off, and then this water will be like a lake in there, and it'll probably fade away after a while. But this river, there's almost no obstructions in here. I mean, that's what I was sort of struck by when I was looking at it. If you get into that river, look at this. I mean, just look at this river. There is nothing. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, you got these barges and whatnot, but I mean, other than that, there's no snags. There's nothing coming out. I mean, he could have just kept traveling down. I don't know. I mean, he could be a long ways away at this point. Yeah, maybe when you start getting into here, it's a little bit different. I don't remember which one it was. I think she was I remember she was like a black girl, and it seems like there was some kind of argument she had with a boyfriend or something, and then drove up there, and man, pretty sad story. I don't remember the case though, the name, or let's go back to this. Well, we were doing pretty good on that wave. You guys.
There was no real interaction between the two of them because that officer was dealing with that other situation. Any other questions? Oh, yeah. So I was just telling them that basically we've been utilizing our urban search and rescue people as well as our police boat. They've gone up and down the bank. They've made multiple sweeps. Urban search and rescue has checked several areas, including any dilapidated buildings, as well as there's a storm drain that people we use sometimes. So they've been doing that, as well as we've had our cold case detectives actually walking the Greenway all the way up towards Jefferson Street, because there's a lot of residential new buildings up there that you can't get to by vehicle. You can get to the buildings, but you can't get behind them. So we're trying to utilize everybody on foot, on boat. We've utilized aviation. Office of Emergency Management has come out the past couple of days, a couple of times, both with the boat, with sonar, as well as with their drone. And then also, I don't know if many of you are familiar with the Cajun Navy, United Cajun Navy. There's a couple different organizations.
And there you go, guys. Last night we gave $400 to the United Cajun Navy
from Louisiana, but they also have members in other states, including Tennessee. They've also come up here to assist us with an airboat and some of their resources from private organizations to also assist in the search for Riley. It's just a natural progression. You know, with a missing persons case, people go missing for various reasons. Some are voluntary, some are not. Some could be due to a medical incident. Right now, we have no idea what happened with this gentleman. We don't believe that there's any crime involved, however. So all of our resources right now are dedicated towards locating him.
Was she actually pregnant? I don't remember that part.
And then once we find him, to try to see if there's any kind of, you know, medical attention, something that he may need. And obviously we're looking...
Hey, thank you, Aussie Trisha. Look at that, an Aussie stepping up tonight.
For a positive outcome. And so, but we're open to all the information that we get. We're still utilizing our Crime Stoppers. A lot of people think that that's just for crimes, you know, homicides, robberies, so forth. But we've also utilized that for people calling in. And I've been getting Crime Stoppers tips every single day regarding possible sightings or any information that people think that they have. I mean, you name it, people call us, we're checking it out. We've also provided our information. Contact us, either me directly by email, my lead detective, or our public information office, our social media, you know, Facebook, Instagram.
Oh, by the way, while you guys are all here, I was going to tell you that, hold on just a second. Just a second. Well, this is kind of random, but Misty Gillis sent me a message, and she said, Hey Gray, so I need to let you know that tomorrow is my last day with Identifinders. I've taken a position at another company and start Monday. I just wanted to thank you and the freaks from the bottom of my heart for what you all do for these cases. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, Misty Gillis she's like, you know, a wonder, like, what do you call her? A phenom in the forensic genetic genealogy arena. But, you know, good for her, though. You know what I mean? Like, she's so good, she deserves to be, whatever the highest pay you should get as a forensic genetic genealogist, she should be that person, because she is absolutely the best. So, you know, good for her, but man, it sucks for us, but there's also a lot of other good genetic genealogists out there as well. So, you know, we'll just keep on trucking away, but man, she was so... I always had faith, you know, like you always have faith in every case when she's around.
Instagram, all that. So we're utilizing absolutely every resource we can possibly think of at this point. There's no reason to believe that he's been a victim of a crime, and I can't possibly think of any other resource we could utilize that we haven't used or are using right now. Yeah, he's been entered into NCIC, which is very common. So when we do a missing person report, when that's entered into NCIC, and as we bolo that information, we've pushed it out to some of our partner, like, you know, Sumner County, Cheatham County, you know, THP and so forth. They usually get that information. Our fusion centers tend to push a lot of that information out as well. So that information has pretty much been disseminated. Yes, ma'am. That's true. So actually back in this direction, this first bridge is James Robertson Parkway. The next bridge is Woodland Street. He was last seen between those two bridges traveling in this direction. and that's the last footage that we have. I think that was around 9:52, 9:53, somewhere in that.
Oh, weird. And then the phone dies right then. Let me hear that last part again. I think this is important.
That's true. So, actually, back in this direction, this first bridge is James Robertson.
Okay. So now we can get an idea of where he is. I think that's the one, right? Isn't that what this is? Hold on. James, I think that's the one, all right. James Robinson Bridge. Ah, come on. Jesus, God, I hate that. Yeah, I've already got a pin there. Okay. James Robertson. I said, that was Robertson, not Robinson. Okay, so James Robertson Parkway Bridge. So that means they're standing over here somewhere. So he's saying the last sighting was, it's going to be right around in here. Hey, thank you, Lisa Wilkerson. Great, thank you for covering this. Prayers for the young man. Let's go back and listen to that part again. I think this is where we can really dial this in.
That's true. So, actually, back in this direction, this first bridge is James Robertson Parkway. The next bridge is Woodland Street. He was last seen between those two bridges traveling in this direction, and that's the last footage.
Interesting. Okay, bam. And what time is that again? That's a really key little timeline piece of information here.
That's true. So, actually, back in this direction, this first bridge is James Robertson Parkway. The next bridge is
it matches perfectly.
Woodland Street. He was last seen between those two bridges traveling in this direction, and that's the last footage that we have. I think that was around 9:52, 9:53. Somewhere.
Wow, so they actually have footage of him right here at 9:52 p.m. and 9:53 p.m. Last seen. Right there. And so let's go down there and see what maybe produced that. I don't know, do they have a camera somewhere maybe up there? Is that what that is on that pole, or the hell is that? No. Well, anyways, he's walking this way. Okay, so now we know he made it a little bit further, because doesn't it turn off just after what was the time frame that his phone turned off? Was it 9:55? Oh, I think I almost feel like he said that at the beginning of his interview. Let me go back.
As Don has already mentioned, we've been out here with our urban search and rescue people today. We've also utilized my cold case detectives on foot, traveling through the area. We've also used aviation, as well as our police boat, which, as he mentioned, has sonar. In the past couple of days, we've also involved the Office of Emergency Management.
I don't think it was 9:48.
They have a boat with sonar, and they also have a drone. We've had their drone operator come out here. And we've also been utilizing our downtown partnership people, and just trying to make any contacts of some of the citizens walking through here, including people that live in nearby homeless camps, and have been recanvassing for video and reaching out to some of the bars and businesses down here, which I'd like to point out that they've all been extremely cooperative with us. And I'm open to any questions you have. So the last thing we had on the phone information was all of the pings that they did were based on exigency, so we were able to get that. Apple has been very helpful with us. We're still waiting on some phone record information. We're still waiting on that data. However, the last ping that they had was off a cell tower near Top Golf, which is on the other side of the river. However, the radius is about 2 miles, so it doesn't give us a direction to travel or more detailed information. We just know that that's the tower that it hit off of. We're still waiting on the phone records. We don't have the information quite back on the Apple Watch, I didn't know this. I'm not an Apple person, but apparently it has its own separate phone number. So that's one of the things that we're also waiting on is data from that as well. It doesn't tell us exactly why they went down. There could be a variable number of reasons of why both of those went down, from we don't know how long he had them charged to, turned them off. I mean, any number of things. But the data right now, the rest of it, his phone records and so forth, we're still waiting on. We know that the last ping off that tower was between 9:55 p.m. and 10 p.m.
So there you go. That's what I was thinking. So that's interesting, because now that means he disappeared right after that. What was it called? Top Golf? Hold on. Oh, there it is. Man, I did pick it up. Oh, and there's the tower. Yeah, that's that tower they were talking about right there. I even had a line drawn from it. So let's do it like this. Put a circle, and we'll make it 2-mile radius. Miles. Let's go up here. Yeah, so that, it's now you can be anywhere inside of that, but of course we know it's not that. How do you know, Gray? Maybe you got picked up in a car, you bastard. Well, why did his phone turn off? Well, maybe because they turn it off, Gray. Right, so that's the 2-mile radius from there. That means he's inside of this. And I think it's pretty obvious now that if his phone's pinging here, or not pinging, he's seen here 9:52 to 9:53, and then 9:55 to 10 is the last known ping, that something happened to him between, and he's heading in this direction. So I would say something happened to him in inside of this. Watch this. Like right in there. I would say something happened to him right inside that little circle there. And when you go all the way up here, he's heading in that direction. You're looking at a 3 to 7 minute period where his phone stops pinging right after he was seen walking between those bridges. So doesn't it seem likely then? I guess what we'd have to do is maybe even include right in the middle of that, but I don't know. I think this is safe. It could be that there was people under here that did something, so it's right there, but somewhere inside of this spot. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. Hold on. Probably go right there, and then how about like that? And this, obviously this part over here is meaningless, so it's really inside of this half wedge there. Don't you think that's pretty accurate right there? I mean, he's literally walking at 9:52 to 9:53 between these two bridges, heading in this direction. His phone then pings between 9:55 and 10 off the tower, right over, right there, and it's the tower has this radius on it. But that means that inside of that time, in a 7-minute window, maybe even 6, his phone stopped pinging, and therefore it's likely in the water at that point with him, and given the way that he's moving around, just staggering all over the place. I think it's going to be something happened to him. My guess is that something happened to him. So inside of this is the range where he would be in that short amount of time. I would say that, though, in this circle, that would be right in here, is where the final, like something bad happened to him. And I think that because this is where it's still dangerous to walk. And then over here, though, you're starting to get kind of far away from the river and everything. And, you know, maybe over here, but it would take a while to get into this area. So, there you go. What do you think of that? He was separated from them when kicked out of the bar. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a classic fraternity brothers. You know, they always call them fraternity brothers. Yay! They don't give a shit. You know, they're out there to party, have fun. Doesn't matter if one of their other brothers is, you know, drunk as hell and going to be thrown out on the middle of the street that he's never been there before. They're still going to want to keep having fun. Yeah. Hey, look at that. It's Cali Gal 3. Nailed the entire... We got to the goal. Thank you. So now I'm going to give away... Well, I'll tell you what. We're at 275. If we get to 300, I'm going to donate 5 memberships. And I'll tell you what. If you guys donate 5 memberships, I'll have that count. And I'll donate 5 too. And then we'll get 10 new members given away to the lucky would-be freaks. All right, so if you guys donate 5 memberships, I'll donate 5 too. We'll get to the 300 and then I'll give away 5. I'm not sure why you're talking about what that is. Who's that? Yeah, I think this is kind of... I mean, we were working on it yesterday. It looked like it was going to be right in this general area here because he's top heavy. He's 6'7". He's higher than the fence there. And I guess let's just take a look in the area. Let's see what it looks like in the area that I've narrowed this a smaller amount. So if we go right into here, and we can just walk through. And you know, remember he's over here walking, and right now we're in between the bridges. Yeah, okay, so he's walking right over there, and see how he's way taller than, like, he's 6'5". These are 3 feet tall. I measured them yesterday on the show. Let me show you guys for any of those people out there that aren't really sure about what I'm talking about. Let's go to when he makes the turn down here. Hey, look at that. Tawny Lee did 1 of them. 4 more. Yeah, so right here is the last, that one surveillance shot where he passes those girls and he's kind of out of it. So look at right here. I can hover over this. Let me go like that so I can see it. So right here is 441 feet. And then right off of that, it's 438. Okay, then right there, just to do another sample, 449. And this one is 446 right there. And this one is 455 and 452. So it's 3 feet tall, the wall right there. And he's 6'7", right? So that means his waist is above the wall. Hey, thanks, Jessica Elliott. Thanks for the kind words there. See, I just try to work through cases logically. I'm not going to pretend that there's this, you know, anything's possible, right? So we just try to narrow it down into what's most likely. We have had cases where, you know, the most absurd thought is what came to be true, okay? But it's not very common at all. Nah, I don't agree, Zozo. They're all drinking. You have to be, you know, just like you said before, when a girl's drunk and she goes out on the street, none of her friends hang out with her, they're irresponsible too. They all, you know, fraternity people, that's all they do is just drink, get hammered, wasted, etc. Okay, so I think it's their fraternity brothers have just a huge responsibility to make sure their friend makes it home safely. I don't agree with anything that you just wrote there. All right, let's see. I think it's just, it's a shame. If it's a woman, everybody would go, oh, yeah, yeah, no, you gotta be. I mean, he was so wasted, he could barely stand. Yeah, so he is 6 foot. Oh, yeah, so what I was going to say is, so here's an example. I've used this example a lot, just so you guys can realize that, you know, we're working through this one case. I can't remember if it was like Georgia or Texas or something like that. There was this girl that was, let's see, there's a girl that was like, what do you call it? She was she went missing, and she was pregnant. And we were like, oh man, maybe she just walks down the street and heads in the other direction. We're like, oh man, maybe the baby isn't her husband's, and she took off to be with that guy, and you know, you're just trying to work through some rational sounding. And it turns out at the very end that she answered an ad on Facebook to buy a crib for her new coming baby. She goes to the house, and when she got to the house, the lady there strangled her to death and then cut the baby out with a knife, and then went to the hospital saying, hey, I just gave birth, you know, and you know, the baby died, and everybody, it just was a horrendous story. But who would predict that story? Probably nobody. So that's one of those outliers. All right, so anyways, this is going to be in between the two bridges right here. Yeah, it was a real thing that happened. I mean, it's not a story. It's a true crime related story. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to do it like that, Zozo, and say, oh well, you know, he took off before somebody could pay the bill and they didn't know where he was, etc. That's different than just saying it's his responsibility, etc. Because he could have. To me, it feels like even if he was right there and said, hey everybody, they kicked me out, nobody would have gone with him anyways. I know how these fraternity quote brothers really are. They're not like that. So anyways, he's walking down. And look how he's way taller than that wall there. And at any one of these times, you could just, while he's stumbling over here, he could have went, ooh, and looked over there and just fell over. You saw how he was walking. Do you guys remember the Kanika Jenkins case, how she's walking down the halls? It actually reminded me of that quite a bit. I mean, this guy is really skinny, probably didn't drink as much as that all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like buying him shots and, hey, you know, and everybody's just getting wasted. And he's one that they even said he was served too many drinks at the bar. Doesn't the bar have some responsibility there? You know, hey, yeah, we gave him too many drinks, so now we're kicking him out and off into the wild blue yonder. Come on, you guys, we got to get 4 more memberships, and then I'm going to give 5 memberships out. All right? You guys want to do that or not? All right. So somewhere in here, I wonder what it looks like right over there. So he's walking around. Let's say he made that turn here. And then see, look at this. I mean, I would get the dogs and everybody just digging through this whole area, just going right through there. See if you can find something. It might not be, it might be difficult to see. All right, Bridget Bauman got one. 3 more, you guys. 3 more. Tawny Lee got one. They're giving away memberships. We got CJ, and up there we had Brand 810 get one. Welcome, you guys. If he went into the river, he could be miles away. Right, he could be 100 miles away, as I said. Man, doesn't Love Shack Sarah look like one of my ex-mods? Zozo? You see that? Man, you guys are really difficult to like get moving here. Listen, if you do 3 more members, I'll give 5. Let's get going. Yeah. Mom said she spoke to him 45 minutes prior and said he did not sound drunk to oblivion. Well, you know how you get that, you've had some drinks and then there's that one drink that sends you over the edge. You're sitting there and you just go, oh boy, here we go. You know? Yeah, I mean, I remember a time, like I've said before, I've told this story on here. It's a story where I was in a bar and I was, I had a chew, like I was actually at a chew, right? I was chewing, this is like, 20 years ago. And I hadn't had anything really much to drink, but then I started drinking, and then this weird just combination thing where I was just got really dizzy. So I went into the bathroom and I sat on the toilet just to kind of like gather myself. And this is like 11 o'clock. And all of a sudden I open my eyes and I see this, I hear vacuuming. I open the door and the chairs are on the tables and they're vacuuming. And I come out and I go, what's going on? It's like 2 in the morning. It was crazy. Yeah. Yeah, that was a little nuts. They called me Shit Van Winkle after that. It was awesome. Hey, thanks, Kami. Only 2 more memberships, everybody. Let's go. I just fell asleep there. I didn't really pass out. I actually, well, maybe. I don't know what you call it, but I just sort of fell asleep. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you do, Nicole B. I'm sure you do. Yeah. Yeah, just it was weird though. I was literally just sitting there. I don't know how I remained balanced. I mean, I literally just kind of woke up at some point. What I want to know is, wasn't there anybody else that... I don't think I was blacked out. I literally just fell asleep because I mean, I didn't really have that much to drink or anything that night. It was kind of like this weird combination. I was like, whoa, I gotta sit down for a minute. I don't know what the hell that was. It was weird though. You know how you sat there with like the thinker? That's how I was sitting. And I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened. I think it's weird that nobody said, I've had to use the bathroom for quite a few hours here, and there seems to be somebody stuck in there. Yeah. Who's doing the other 2 memberships? We only have 2 memberships. It's either $10 or 2 memberships. Then I'm going to give 5 away. It's to help get more freaks in here. You guys can use the emojis, etc., etc., etc. Or you can buy your own, whatever the hell you want to do. I passed out in a bar booth and was kicked out. Okay. That's the most boring story I've ever heard, Nicole. Hey, everybody. She passed out in a bar booth and was kicked out. Boy, that's so unusual. It was kind of like the thinker position. What I'm wondering is, okay, there's one. Jessica Schubach did one. Who's going to be the nice, generous soul to get another person a membership? Donimus Fan just got one right then. Unboozle. Unboozle? Huh? I just thought, the story though, I needed more to it, Nicole. You got any more on that, or? Dominus Fan. Oh, there's Lisa Wilkerson, and then Nikki Zub's got the other one. We got to the goal, Lisa Wilkerson. And look at that, you guys. You guys are awesome. All right, so let's do here we go. Go out to the show. Live. Now, and by the way, if you're not you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and then hit that notification bell. One of the easiest things to do in the entire world. Okay. Membership gifting. There's 5. And hey, thanks again up there to Lisa Wilkerson, Nikki Zubs, Gummo, and LM. Thanks for your generosity and, you know, making these nights doable. So there we go. We got Raising Grace, Jessica Elliott, Keep Grinding Up, Robin V, and Gloria 2730. Yeah, see, I think that was our similar stories, Ozo. That was funny. Yeah, you just slept a little longer. Like, what if I didn't hear that vacuum? You know what it also proved, you guys? They don't wash those damn toilets at night. You know, I mean, wouldn't somebody have gone in there to check and see what the toilet maybe looked like? You know what would have been funny, Zozo, if like we were there at the same night and I was in the men's bathroom and you were in the girls' bathroom and we both come out at like 2:30 in the morning and we're like, what the hell's going on? That would have been hilarious. What the hell's going on here? That is a good point, isn't it? That damn toilet. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it does seem like he probably went in the water, and they'll probably, if they find him, it'll be somewhere way over here, just way away from town. It's not going to be, if he, you know, I mean, of course, there's obviously places you possibly could get snagged or something. I mean, there isn't many of these going on, though. Hardly any of these little islands or, you know, but maybe underwater there is. Let's see if there's a time of year where the height is not quite as much. Let's see, this is March. I would say like in August, September. Well, it's September. Looks pretty consistent. Hardly ever changes, really. Interestingly. Well, you gotta show up on the shows, Patricia, or you can just do $1.99 a month, and there you go. I mean, it's really inexpensive. It's like if you went to 7-Eleven and got yourself a ding dong, that's how much it costs a month. I don't eat ding dongs, you bastard. Now let's see how deep is the Cumberland River in Nashville? I don't know why I didn't remember that in my head. I bet it's, ooh, man, look at that. It said something about, it does which reaches a maximum depth of 90 feet. Most people are not, oh, that's interesting. It's deep. Okay, Cumberland River at Nashville. Okay, it looks like Cumberland River at Nashville. This is gauge height in feet. So this is in March, right? So look at the difference here, you guys. This is a good way to look at it. So what day did he go missing on? Look at the height difference here. Oh man, I bet you. What day did he go missing? Was it March 6th? I don't remember the date now. Anybody? Type it in. Type it in. Come on. See, look at that. Look at the height difference on the 8th. 24.89 feet, it's saying. And this is Cumberland at Nashville. So look at that. 24 feet. And 9th, and then boom, goes way down, much slower. 21 feet, and then look at this. Like today, it's 19 feet. So look at 1906 over there. You can see it. And then it got up to a little bit higher, but that means it was really rushing through there on that day. Let's see if we can, is there a way to get more date? 30 days. Here we go. Oh man, so look at, that's like a peak here. You know, over here it was 26 feet, and it kind of goes down, down, down. But the day he went missing, it's high. That's like really high water. That means it's going quickly, and then, you know, then it slowed down now where they can go look around. So that might be a good way to, you know, that's an interesting element, right? That means the water was likely going faster, deeper on that day. Are you guys even here? It's like talking to a brick wall half the time. Maybe I should keep that. Yeah, it looks like the water was really moving that day. Yep, yep. All right, well, I don't have much more to offer on this, so now I'm switching over to the Delphi case. Oh, I just did something on the water depth, so. Let's see. Oh, there was a story on him about that. On March 8th, temperatures were as low as 56 degrees, officials said. Landrum pointed out that water temperature would have been 50 degrees, but that's really cold, making hypothermia a possibility, especially if someone is unable to get out of the water. Yeah. So far, the searches at the Cumberland have proven unsuccessful. Despite those readings, Schultz said much of the Cumberland River is shallow enough to stand in. He estimates the average person can stand in the river anywhere between 10 to 15 feet from the shore. Oh, really? So it's kind of a water velocity on March 8th, when strain was last seen, was measured at 3.8 feet a second. Man, that's pretty fast. According to the United States Geology Survey, velocity peaked at 10:30 a.m. on March 9th, when it was measured at 4 feet per second. Day to day, the current varies, Schultz said. His company operates along a 3-mile stretch. All right, well, there you go. There you have it. I mean, think about that. Well, let's type it in. How many miles an hour? How many miles an hour is 4 feet a second? That's almost 3 miles an hour. So 2.7 miles an hour. So look how, that's what I'm saying, you guys. I mean, this is a 2-mile radius from the cell tower. So that's 2, 4. I mean, he could be so far away at this point. You know, they're looking around right here, which I think is really sort of almost meaningless. I mean, what I would do is get way down here and then start moving up this direction. See if you can, I mean, I don't even know where you'd start. Maybe even over here. Just kind of go up there, figure out the speed and how far away he could possibly be. So you're saying the 8th, right? And then you're looking at 24 miles and 24 hours in a day. I mean, Jesus. That's 72 miles times, it just goes on and on and on. That's if he has no obstructions at all. I mean, if that's true, he may have made it all the way down to the, I don't know if it runs into the Kentucky River at some point. Let's see. It comes down. And then it gets really, Cumberland River over here is really wide, and then it kind of breaks out. So this would be a spot. Like he wouldn't make it much any further than this. Right? There's a dam here. Maybe there's issues with him getting through that. Let's see what that would look like in this. It's crazy. It is. So, don't know what to tell you guys. It's pretty wild, pretty wild. If he fell off the bridge into the shallow water, the fall could have been fatal and the river washed him away. Yeah, I mean, it's really steep there, so maybe he fell down and then he sort of stumbled in the water and the water shocked him. That's one of the things that really gets people, is they drown because the shock of how cold the water is. They'll just be, and they just, doesn't work for them. Yeah, it's for fishing. We know, Gummo. We know, yeah. It's not that easy to just start finding people, though. Especially when you start looking 6 days after they went into the water. Yeah, some of those sonars, you go to the fish stores, fishing stores, and they have them on the boats. They're incredible. I mean, you can make out the fish. it's gills and everything. It's wild. And he more than likely had a concussion. Yeah, he seemed like I don't know if he hit that thing or it was whatever it was. He seemed like he face planted on the ground. There are a few sources that, well, geez, no wonder, Gummo. That's why you can never send in super chats. He bought a $1,600 I'm just kidding. There are a few sources that report he's 6'5", and some say 6'7". He looks tall, but man, that 6'5" number seemed pretty big. Yeah, that's about how much those things are. I was thinking of getting one of those pedal kayaks that you can sit in and pedal. You can put a motor on if you want, but man, those look like they'd just be so fun. And by the way, I saw somebody on a YouTube video catch an alligator gar that was, it had to weigh 200 or 300 pounds. I mean, it was the most ridiculous looking thing I've ever seen. The only thing he didn't do was put a saddle on it and right away. In front of me today, I looked at him. Why would you look at him closely, Cindy? Jesus. Yeah, he's still just wandering around like Sasquatch, Cindy. Yeah, why would you ever mention that organization, Love Shack? Those guys are ridiculous people, okay? All the shit they did during Kylie Rodney and subsequently. I mean, they did good stuff before that, but man, mentioning them now is weird, Yeah, that's a long ways away, Cindy. It's a really long ways away. You think this guy's just walking around like Sasquatch? Showing up on different streets? Hasn't called anybody? Those look... Oh, Jesus. Come on, Cindy. Man, that's... Haven't we learned more than that on here? Seriously? Gosh, Gray, you're so mean to your subs. I don't feel like it, man. I just think that's absurd, so. Because it is. Not because I think it is, it's because it is absurd to be 600 miles, 300 miles away, whatever the hell it is, and wonder if this tall guy you saw was him. He's just walking down the street. Didn't call anybody, Yeah, okay. All right, you guys mind? I'm going to switch over to the Delphi documents. I bet Cindy's going to scope out the college basketball team and say, you know, I think I saw 11 of them walking around. He could be one of them, though. Now we got more that came out again. All right. That one? All right. So now it looks like the state now, for some unknown reason, is trying to go after. I mean, look at, they put that same information in here again. I might read the lower part. Sometimes I always wonder, they always seem to sneak in little Easter eggs, you know what I mean? In these documents, there's always this one other piece, a new little tiny piece of information that they put in these things. So this top part is the same. It's really clear, though. It's probably the most clear version of that. It's not, there's no, it's usually kind of smudgy looking. So this is in the Delphi case of AbbyandLibby, where the prosecutors, you know, the state of Indiana, Nicholas McLeland, or Nick McLeland, prosecuting attorney for the 74th Judicial Circuit, and moves this court for an order for Westville Correctional Facility and Wabash Valley Correctional Facility. Attention, Elise Gallagher, 5501 South 1100 West, Westville, Indiana, to produce the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office. Attention, Nicholas McLeland, 101 West Main Street, any and all medical records for Richard Allen, date of birth September 9th, 1972, associated with his stay as an inmate in the Department of Corrections from November 3rd, 2022 until present. So it says, while working the Delphi investigation, Carroll County Sheriff's Department Detective Tony Liggett developed information that Richard Allen was involved in the murders of AbbyandLibby. The investigation shows the following. And then we've already gone over this like 9 times. But I think I might go over this again coming up here, using something like this that has, it's really clear. Maybe there's more information. But maybe I'll move it down to the bottom here. Okay, we already got that. Charges were filed against Richard Allen on October 28, 2022 for 2 counts of murder. Once Richard Allen was taken into custody, he was moved to the Westerville Correctional Facility, which is part of the Indiana Department of Corrections, for safekeeping. He has been in said facility since November 2022. When Richard Allen entered the facility, he was placed in the segregation unit for his protection. Thanks, Robin. A reading fee. In the segregation unit, his cell is equipped with a video recorder which records his activities within the cell. There are also logs indicating when Richard M. Allen leaves the cell and for what purposes. He is also being seen by medical providers and mental health specialists to evaluate his physical condition and monitor his mental health. Upon Richard Allen arrival to the facility, he was placed in let's see. Well, it says suicide watch because of certain statements he made about harming himself. Throughout his stay, his mental health improved to the point that he was taken off that watch. He was also participating in recreation time and beginning to exercise. The facility reports that he was doing well and they had no issues or concerns. His day-to-day demeanor was that he was quiet, read a lot of books, did crossword puzzles, and exercised daily. On April 3rd, 2023, Richard Allen made a phone call to his wife, Kathy Allen. In that phone call, Richard Allen admits several times. See, how do these wackos... Look at it. He was doing well, reading books, playing crossword puzzles. And don't you think it's weird that there's so many wackos out there that think, he's an innocent man, everybody. Because they believe somehow that he confessed and it was all just because it was these bad conditions in there. So in that phone call, Richard Allen admits several times that he killed Abby and Libby. In that phone call, Richard Allen admits several times that he killed Abby and Libby. Investigators had the phone call transcribed, and the transcription confirms that Richard M. Allen admits that he committed the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. He admits several times within the phone call that he committed the offense as charged. His wife, Kathy Allen, ends the phone call abruptly. I mean, you know how this went down, right? She was probably like talking to him, and she's like, oh shit. I just sort of hung up the phone because he admitted it, and then she contacted Richard Allen's attorneys. So look how it says. His wife, Kathy Allen, ends the phone call abruptly. Miraculously, soon after, attorneys for Richard Allen filed an emergency motion to modify safekeeping order. So what that's showing is the unethical behavior of Richard Allen's attorneys. Once Richard Allen admitted to killing, they had to come up with a plan, and they immediately said, "Oh my God, it was the conditions in the prison. It was a false confession. Yeah, we need to transfer him." Even up above, he was reading books, did crossword puzzles, and he exercised daily. Right? So all of a sudden, once he confesses, now there's all this wild stuff going on. Soon after, attorneys for Richard M. Allen filed an emergency motion to modify safekeeping order. In that motion, the defense states that Richard Allen, his mental state has declined because Westville Correctional Facility is unfit. See, his mental state. What a joke. And I'm going to tell you, any of you clowns out there that literally believe this and are relying on that for your belief that he's innocent, because if you don't believe that, that means he's guilty, right? Because he admitted to it. Even the defense team said, yes, he confessed, but they're trying to pin it on some mental degradation. Okay? That's ridiculous. And that's why you guys are going to be embarrassed later. Okay? When the truth comes out, there's information that maybe he spoke to one of the mental health people and also confessed as well, even giving specific information. But the defense team knows that. And see, here's what the defense team is now trying to do. They're trying to take away the original search warrant by doing the Frank's hearing, which means that because the judge heard false information, she gave permission to do a search warrant. Therefore, the fruit bore from the search warrant should all be thrown out. That's basically what that's for. So anyways, soon after, okay, we already did that part. Richard M. Allen was wedding down. Okay, defense has also challenged that his treatment is unconstitutional. Oh wait, let me read up here. Let me. I think I missed a part of it. It says, in that motion, the defense states that Richard Allen mental state has declined because Westville Correctional Facility is unfit and that he should be moved. Defense also makes allegations that his mental health has declined to the point where Richard Allen has been deprived of his own constitutional right to assist in his defense of this case. Further, defense alleges that his mental capacity has declined because of his incarceration at Westville Correctional Facility. Defense has also challenged that his treatment is unconstitutional. Soon after investigators were made aware of the warden of Westville Correctional Facility that Richard M. Allen began to act strangely. So, look at that. So defense has also challenged that his treatment is unconstitutional. Soon after investigators were made aware by the warden of, of the treatment that he's having, he all of a sudden started acting weird. All right? Richard Allen was wetting down paperwork he had gotten from his attorneys and eating it. He was refusing to eat and refusing to sleep. He would go days on end refusing to sleep. He further broke the tablet that he used for text messages and phone calls. He went from making up to 2 phone calls a day as of April 3rd, 2023. Remember that? He was making 2 phone calls a day up until April 3rd when he confessed to his wife. And then it says, to date, Richard Allen still has not made a phone call since April 3rd. Don't you think? Okay, so he 2 phone calls a day, then he confesses on April 3rd, and then he never makes another phone call again. Does it make more sense that he just sort of had this miraculous moment where he got crazy all of a sudden, or does it make more sense that after he confessed, he realized he might get in trouble if he ever communicates again on the phone, and that's why he's never called again? He has the right to call, he just doesn't do it. On April 14th, 2023, Richard Allen was evaluated by 2 psychiatrists and 1 psychologist to discuss his turn in behavior and whether or not there was a need for involuntary medication. The panel would also discuss moving Richard Allen to a different facility that has a psychiatric unit. From that meeting, it was determined that Richard M. Allen did not need involuntary medication and that he did not need to be moved to another facility. Since that meeting, Richard M. Allen has begun to eat again, not paper. And, so isn't that amazing? He has that meeting with the psychologist to determine if he's crazy, but miraculously, right in that meeting, he's deemed to be normal, and now he's eating again. He began to sleep. His behavior has begun to return to what it was prior to making the admission on April 3rd. Investigators believe the information that Westville Correctional Facility has continued to gather medical and mental health information on Richard Allen since he was placed in the facility. Investigators believe the information that has continued to gather medical and mental information on Richard Allen since he was placed in the facility. Any records of physical exams and or mental exams will be important to determine the state of his mental and physical health during his confessions. This information is needed to refute any allegations made by the defense. This is new, it seems like. The evidence is also necessary to refute the allegations of diminished mental capacity and or possible defense. It may also be important as the state introduces additional evidence gathered, including additional admissions by Richard M. Allen. See, there's additional admissions himself. Investigators believe all the information is important in the continued investigation for murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Hey, thanks, Ozzy Trisha. Well, thank you. 42 minutes behind, you have a brilliant mind, Gray. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think differently than most people do. That makes me weird to some, and some people like it, whatever. Or some people think I'm weird, but they also like it. Yeah, it's a mixed bag over here. Based on the above probable cause for the charges, the defendant has been held in the Carroll County Jail, transferred to White County Jail, and then ultimately to the Westville Correctional Facility. The state has filed a motion for leave in the past obtained. What's it doing? Fail to respond to the. Okay, that's. So we can just finish. This goes to right there. Let's see. The state has filed motion for leave in the past to obtain these records, and the defense objected to said motion. Now that the defense has listed the defendant's mental health and or medical records as possible exhibits in the trial, the state believes that they are entitled to the same. It seems clear that the defense intends to make the defendant's mental health and medical health an issue in this matter. In order to address this, the state needs to review the defendant's mental health and medical records in order to have an opportunity to consult its own expert. See, I agree with this. What do you guys think? I mean, if they're going to use it, then they have to be able to prepare for it in case they use it. That's right, Zozo. That's right. Well, what criminals do, you know what I mean? Like, they all do the same thing. You bastard. Ethel Mertz. The state concedes that the defense has not filed any kind of insanity defense or any other defense on behalf of Richard Allen, but defense has brought Richard Allen's mental health and medical health into question. Right. That's exactly right. So they have done that by them claiming that him being moved right during the time, they had to quickly jump into action and say, well, the mental, it's been building up, and then he confessed this one day, and by God, he's never talked to anybody again after that. For these reasons, the state is requesting the medical records for Richard Allen from Westville Correctional Facility. The request is made for the purpose of preparing for trial in this matter. The state believes that Richard Allen's mental health and his physical health is going to be argued at trial. The state believes that the mental record and medical records of Richard Allen are relevant and would assist the state in preparing for trial. I totally agree, because they've brought it up as an issue as to why the defense is almost certainly going to have to bring it up. Because once the confessions are played, the defense will then have to say, well, the reason he did this was because he was mentally impaired because of the treatment there. Then the prosecution will then be able to rebut that by using the mental health experts at the prison to argue. Does that make sense? And so why not? They have to be able to be prepared before trial. And that makes sense. And maybe the judge can get them to say, okay, defense, if you do not want the prosecution to have Richard Allen's medical records, you have to agree right now that at trial you will not use his mental health or his behavior to explain why, or his treatment, or his mental health or his treatment to explain why he confessed to his wife and his mother. That's what you got to do. You get what I'm saying? And it doesn't look like Gummo's paying attention again. Let's see. Does that make sense, though? That sounds exactly... I would have the judge say that. Just go, hey, listen, they don't get to have it if you tell me right now you're not going to use it at trial, but they need to have the records knowing that you're going to likely use that. Right? Gilmo's like one of those, when you're in school and you're like a teacher and they got that one kid that's always laughing and joking around about something else, and then they say that they were listening, but there's virtually almost no chance, because I don't think that's a slippery slope at all, Cindy. I think that should be the deal, because why can't, if they're going to use it, they have to use it. And if they say that they won't use it, then no, he doesn't get the record. But if they say that they're going to use it, I mean, the defense is trapped here, because they know they have to say it to try to explain it. You were that kid? I figured, Yamo. I figured. I think I was too, though. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's how I can recognize them. Because I was that one. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that was that one. Now, for some reason, there's a fourth request. That was the third request for the medical records. And then somehow there's another one put out on the same day. Let's see what this says at the top. Maybe it's just a different person they're sending it to. I don't know. Yeah, it looks almost identical. So I don't know why there's a fourth one. And let's see what this one is here. We've got the filing from state. This is also from today. Motion for leave of court to subpoena third-party records. Okay, this again has that long write-up in here. Comes now the state. While working the Delphi investigating Carroll County Department detectives, Tony Liggett developed information. They want this is again about mental health records. Even though it says the same damn thing. Alright, so we don't need to read that one. Okay. Man, what's this? This is a really short one. Look how lame this sounds. This is from the defense. Listen to how ridiculous. This is how ridiculous the defense sounds. So listen. There you go. Comes now, defense counsel, and supplements with the facts. He had a lot going on and was rushed, which led to him omitting that Mr. McClellan objects to continuance, which he does. What? I mean, what a ridiculous. That's a whole motion there? I mean, what is the motion? The undersigned hereby certifies that. Okay, so, it sounds like dun da da da. Comes now, counsel for defense counsel, and supplements with the fact he had a lot going on and was rushed, which led him to admitting that Mr. McClellan objects to continuance, which he does. What? And that was from Hennessy. Boy, you guys are really on top of it over there, you guys. You guys are... Yeah, too much going on. It sounds a little bit like the Idaho 4... here's what's going on in the Idaho 4 case really quick, everybody. The defense attorney, I believe, has pretty much given up mentally on that case. I think she absolutely knows without a doubt that Brian Kohberger is the killer, and that's why she has no interest in doing anything. Like he's just like, I don't know. I'm not going to look at the... I think she's even going to try to get him to confess. Or not confess, to... well, I guess it's the same thing, to do a plea deal. I mean, it's just a ridiculous... you know that she's seeing stuff, and that's why... How many of you who are interested in the Idaho 4 case wouldn't just gobble up anything that came in to read? Be like, oh, wow, ooh, look at that. She goes, I hardly even have time to look at anything. I'm just kind of, wow. That's what I think played out. All right, so this is Richard Allen's third Franks notice, you guys. So now they're trying to get the Franks hearing notice again. They're really trying to get that search warrant, original search warrant, thrown out. So this is new. This is from yesterday. It says, comes now the accused Richard Allen. Notice how one of those YouTubers tried to copy all this. No, you're not a comes now person, okay? You're just, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm not pretending to be a lawyer. Comes now the accused Richard Allen by and through counsel and files his third Franks notice and a request for Franks hearing based upon newly discovered evidence in support of said motion. So this is new. This isn't in their original Franks memorandum. All right. So, On September 18th, 2023, the defense filed its first Frank's notice, which consisted of a 136-page memorandum using dexterity and acting alone. It supported I'm just kidding. So it says Frank's notice, which consisted of a 136-page memorandum in support detailing 1. Certain evidence that Tony Liggett failed to include in his search warrant application. 2. Certain evidence that was detailed in his search warrant application that was false. And 3. Evidence that law enforcement had acted in an intentional manner on multiple instances, attempting to conceal evidence from the defense and failing to tell the truth. Well, here's the thing, everybody. When you're doing a search warrant for Richard Allen, because of stuff he's done, you don't have to include Odin shit. They want you to say, well, when you did when you did the search warrant, you should have put exculpatory information. What a joke. Well, Madam Judge, we've got a guy named Richard Allen who admits to being on the bridge. He was seen by the 3 girls as he got there, and he admits to seeing them. He admits to being there during the time frame. There was a bullet found at the crime scene that appears to be ejected from his gun. Oh, and don't forget, there's these other Odin people out there that like sticks and things. But hey, don't worry about that one. We're going to get moving on. Oh, God. Why are you supposed to put that on the document? Nobody does that. It's a search warrant regarding Richard Allen. How about this? You know what's weird, you guys? This is pretty funny. I just thought of it right now. How come none of these clowns, the Delphi happy Richard Allen's innocent clowns, are ever bitched about Ron Logan's search warrant? It didn't mention the Odinist, man. He got railroaded, that bastard. Yeah. Come on. Can I get a boom on that one? You got to admit, now that you think about it. How come the Ron Logan search warrant doesn't mention the Odinists? But everybody was so into that one. And remember, they were on to the Odinists right away. Remember that? Like day one. They were on that crap. I think that's a hell of a point, to be honest with you. That's why those guys hate me so much, because I think of stuff like that. The weird sort of, oh, look at that. Isn't that wild? Not one mention of the Odinists in the Ron Logan document. And that was after the Odinists, but all of them are so happy about it. Oh, man, that's awesome. Wow, you make it sound like that's rare, Cindy. Yeah. I could see me saying that to you, but let's see. Certain evidence that Tony Liggett failed. Okay, so the defense incorporates the contents of its first Frank's notice and memorandum into this document. So the first document is part of this one, but we're just saying these are the new elements. I would have been ashamed of the first document. Not only that, a guy named Slow Joe, he was mentioned on that one, which invalidates the entire document merely by the fact that his name is even anywhere near it. Okay. Secondly, the way it was written, a 4-year-old could do better. And a whole document, a whole long diatribe regarding the how the bodies were found and how one single solitary man acting alone with dexterity would have had to do this. Isn't that amazing? We had 643 people watching, but as soon as we went off of a couple of the other cases, they're like, yeah, okay, I'm just not interested in learning about anything else. Goodbye. See you later. And you can always tell, because who's left now, there's very few non-members or moderators. It's just crazy. Jesus, you guys. Have interest in other things other than your little small little world of one case at a... Just, that's it, man. That's all I just... Come on. It's ridiculous. The defense incorporates the... Because on October 3rd, 2023, the defense filed its second Frank's notice detailing how the prosecution and law enforcement has attempted to conceal the identity of a Purdue professor whose testimony contradicted that of law enforcement officer Tony Liggett and Jerry Holman. This notice was provided as a supplement to the first Frank's notice in order to bolster the defense contention that the state of Indiana and law enforcement were acting intentionally and or with reckless disregard of the truth to further support the request for a Frank's hearing. The defense incorporates the contents of its second Frank's notice filed on October 3rd. So it's got the first Frank's motion, that was in September, the second one, and I think we're on to the third. Let's see. Oh, I think I'm on top chat. I was wondering what was going on. There we go. Oh, look at that. All these other things pop up in there. Man. It does look like it was by Harris. After Frank's Frank's number 2, or Frank's 1 and Frank's 2 were filed, just before the defense was kicked off the case in October 2023, the defense received certain geofencing evidence that the defense did not have an opportunity to fully examine, explore, or discuss with its experts. Well, here's the thing: is that's good for you, but the prosecution did look at that, and it turns out it was Cheyenne and a couple of her friends out on that bridge. Hey, thanks, Lisa Wilkerson. They really don't know what they're missing out. That's what I always say, Lisa. These people, they just... I don't like one case wonders. You know, I don't want them as channel members. I don't even want them as viewers. You know, it's neat when they come by, but you hope that they just like the way crime is presented and would stick around. But man, as soon as you go on to something else, they're just off like a bullet if you don't keep talking about that one case that they know about. And who wants them as a channel member or even a subscriber? Because as soon as the case is over, you'll never see them again, because they don't. That's it, you know. So we want true crime people here that like to discuss many different cases. Yeah, one case wonders. I was thinking one hit wonder, you know. So just after the defense was reinstated on the case in January 2024, it received certain discovery in the form of a September 22nd, 2023 report authored by Sergeant Jerry Holman, purportedly memorializing an interview he had with a former Purdue professor named Jeffrey Turco. Both the geofencing evidence and Holman's September 22nd, 2023 report provide new information that supports the defense request for a Frank's hearing. No, it doesn't. Specifically, I'd love them. I mean, if they have a Frank's hearing, it'd be great, because we'll actually get to see, or I don't know if we'd get to see it, but we get reporting on what was said. Specifically, the defense received certain geofencing evidence that at least 3 persons were in or around the crime scene at the time while the murders were taking place. And yes, we all know that on the bridge around 3:15, 3:20 was Cheyenne and 2 of her friends that had their cell phones taking pictures. So yes, that's all been vetted and figured out. I'm sorry that you are unaware. Specifically, the defense received certain geofencing evidence that at least 3 persons were in and around the crime scene. Okay, the geofencing evidence would provide evidence of any of the following scenarios. Those persons walking with the phones are witnesses that would have observed the murders, and they just never came forward. And let's see, nothing, as the murders did not take place the afternoon. Okay, no, it says those persons walking with the phones are witnesses that would have observed the murders as they were taking place, and none of them have identified Richard Allen or Those persons walking with the phone were witnesses who observed nothing, as the murders did not take place the afternoon of February 13th, but the victims were taken to the crime scene after the search was oh God. These guys are going down the Odin. I mean, the crazy original crap. Now they're going to start talking about cabins again. That they were put there later. Oh my God, you guys. This is getting, this is disturbing at this point. Can you believe that? Said geofencing evidence was so important to somebody involved in the investigation that they created a map and plotted the movements of these persons, including movements that show that at least one of these persons was within 60 to 100 yards of the crime scene at the time while the murders would have been committed according to law enforcement timelines. The phones, once again, had no connection to Richard Allen. Further, the map... But isn't it weird? Why doesn't Richard Allen's phone show up in there? You know, remember he was looking at fish, right? Or did he not even have his phone and have it turned off? They'll say, well, because he wasn't there. That's why it didn't show up, Gray. Really? But how come he got there? When he got there, he ran into 3 girls who said he was coming in, just like he said. He said when he was getting there, he passed 3 girls. And that's at 1:30. And he said he was there from 1:30 to 3:30. Man, this is nuts. Furthermore, the maps show that the other 2 phones and the persons carrying those phones were in and around the crime scene between 12:39 p.m. and 5:49 p.m. on February 13th. The other 2 phones and the persons carrying those phones, I don't know, I don't even know what this means here. I mean, I guess they're saying around the crime scene. So 12:39, that's about when Bree and, you know, like those other, the 3 girls, when they were at the bridge, right? That is, you know, they were there at 47 or something. The defense is sought out, but has not been provided any documents or reports. But you don't think law enforcement was looking into these phone numbers and they determined that they're nothing? The defense is sought out, but has not been provided any documents or reports that contradict or refutes said geofencing evidence, but have not found such evidence, nor has the prosecutor provided any when defense requests reports on said geofencing. When Tony Liggett drafted his affidavit for search warrant of Richard Allen's home, he concealed from the judge, notice that, from the Judge Diener the fact that at least 3 phones and the people using those phones were moving in or around the crime scene. But couldn't it be that he already determined who they were and they weren't relevant so that he wouldn't include that? When the murders would have been taking place, according to law enforcement. What is he supposed to say? Why does he have to put on there, yes, Judge Diener, there are 3 other phones moving around near the crime scene, but we've contacted all of those people and ruled them out. But I'm putting this in here because some wacko defense attorney in the future will find this obscured piece of information and pretend that it's really important. But here it is. Let's see. Said geofencing information would have provided evidence to Judge Diener that negated Richard Allen's presence. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Liggett should have told Judge Diener that crucial, relevant, exculpatory information, which had been available since 2017, especially when Liggett's affidavit was written in October 2022, over 5 years later. Additionally, Sergeant Jerry Holman, September 22, 2023, memorialization of his interview with Jeffrey Turco once again reveals that he, Holman, attempted to deceive the reader of said report by leaving out key information and words uttered from the mouth of Turco concerning the likelihood that the sticks left behind were in fact ruins, everybody. making Odinism's involvement in the murders more likely and worth investigating. Holman also failed to recite the full words of Turco concerning the plausibility that those who left the runes behind were involved in some type of human sacrifice. Oh, Jesus. How do you take this shit seriously? I mean, on September 22nd, 2023, Holman wrote a report in which, this part here, it is where it's like, like why didn't you just say this is what happened, this is what he said. So it says on September 22nd, 2023, Holman wrote a report in which Holman failed to mention the word rune or any derivation thereof. When memorializing the words of Turco, runes were a big part of Turco's interview. Yet Holman chose to include the word rune. Holman chose to include the word rune or any derivation of that word from his report. You mean chose not to? It says Turco interview. Yet Holman chose to include the word. You mean chose not to include the word rune or any derivation of the word from his report. Instead. Oh, wait, no, that's right. That's correct. Chose to, no, exclude. It doesn't say include. It says exclude the word, not include. Or any derivation of that word from his report. Instead, the relevant part of Holman's report was the following. I asked Turco to summarize his findings, and he said they were inconclusive. In his opinion, he thought the sticks were placed deliberately, but was unsure what they meant. He said that he provided, something seeker, some educational guesses in his report. I asked him if the Odin religion practiced ritualistic human sacrifices, and he said no. He stated that no evidence or research indicates that religion practicing human sacrifices, let me read that again. He stated that no evidence or research indicates that religion, meaning Odinism, practicing human sacrifices. He told me that if someone Google searched it, they may see that the Vikings were accused of human sacrifices, but he said that there is no proof of it. I asked him if he ever heard of ritualistic human sacrifices around here, and he said no. He told me not even in Norway, where this type of religion is more prevalent, has he heard of any ritualistic human sacrifices. What Holman failed to write in this report were Turco's words that more strongly detailed how Odinism was likely involved in the murders due to the likelihood that the sticks were formed into a runic script. What script, though? It's a given, apparently, he said, and how it was very plausible that human sacrifice could be a component to said murders. Because Holman had sworn under oath in his August 10th, 2023 deposition that the sticks found at the crime scene did not represent Odinism or any type of cult worshipping or any type of group that would have conducted the crime, Holman deposition, page 63, line 1020. It was in Holman's interest to hide the actual words of Professor Turco concerning the likelihood that the sticks were... Why was this supposed to be on the probable cause document, though? You see how stupid all this is? Why in the hell would this be on the probable cause document? This is related to Richard Allen. You don't put in every single bit of information that you looked at years ago when you've got a suspect here and you're looking at him. That's just the way it is. I have never seen a probable cause document that details other investigative leads. It always goes through the narrative about the person that they're on. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's ridiculous. No, it's the probable cause. This is a supplement for the Franks hearing, Cindy. This is they're trying to get the Franks hearing put back up, which is a hearing to that the judge wouldn't have done the search warrant had she had this other information. So that's what this is. They're trying to explain it away because they didn't admit that there was this Odin stuff on there. But nobody does that. They always talk about, okay, I mean, just think about it like you have a case and you're talking about it. You always say, okay, at 9:30 he was driving down West 14th Street. Then we see him on a camera at 10:16 over here on this street. And then we have a surveillance camera showing when he pulls into the house, it looks like he's brandishing a gun. He goes inside the house, and then a few minutes later, we see him carrying a gunny sack out. We believe that is the victim. He's about to place it into a vehicle, and then you see his car pulling away. Now, an hour later, we have him on camera showing up at the local dump, and he's throwing the body in the dump. We heard from family members who said that they were in the middle of a divorce, and that he, blah, 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 go like that. You don't, in the middle, at the very end, go, oh, and by the way, 3 years ago, we talked to a guy that works at McDonald's, who we thought maybe was the person, but we ruled that person out. I mean, you just don't bring that crap up. It never happens. What are they talking about here? Right? It's weird. Why do you want this in there? After viewing the way the sticks at the crime scene were arranged. So Turco's words and information that Holman left out of his report include the following. So this is what this Purdue professor, who probably I bet you when he was originally approached, somebody said, man, don't these things look like runes here? What's going on here? We think this could be like these Nordic people. And he was like, yeah. And he got really excited, and he started going, yeah, maybe it is, because he wants to be like, at trial, wants to be a witness or something. So here's what he said. After viewing the way the sticks at the crime scene were arranged, it was a given that the pattern of sticks was someone attempts to replicate a Germanic rune script. No, it wasn't. I've seen them. There's one stick over each shoulder, and then a larger stick kind of going this way. There's no way to say that that's a rune of any kind. Well, you're not a professor, Gray, you bastard. How do you know? Well, I have a brain. I guess that's where one of Turco's colleagues, a Harvard professor with even more expertise, agreed. Wow. Yeah, because those Harvard professors are absolute geniuses. Odinism is an extreme neo-pagan, neo-heathenism ideology that has right-wing racist connotations, of course. I think it has left-wing racist connotations. Brad Holder and Patrick Westphal were known to be involved in extremist racist groups. Okay, but what does that have to do with anything? Although he could not necessarily interpret the intended meaning of these sticks formed into runes. No, but they're not formed into runes. They're just sticks. What makes you think that they're runes just because one was laying on top of another? How come they never say in here what rune it was replicating? Can anybody answer that for me? Although he could not necessarily interpret the intended meaning of these sticks. Okay, right. You mean because they don't look like anything. That's why you can't interpret the meaning. The stick's configuration were pretty clearly, pretty clearly runic. That he could certainly imagine that this was somebody's idea, that when you do human sacrifice, you carve runes. Wait, carve runes? Okay, but there was nothing carved. These are just sticks laying on people, and the tree just had, like, blood smeared on it. Where are the carvings, Professor? Do your eyes work that poorly where you thought these were carvings? It's hard to really think that carvings were a stick. There are some poetic sources that would sort of support that idea, that somebody might have come across that scenario. Seems entirely plausible to me, he said. What is he talking about, carve? or maybe it's just saying, could certainly imagine that this was somebody's idea, that when you do human sacrifices, you carve runes. Did somebody just, let me ask you this, did somebody just hand them a drawing and he didn't know what he was looking at? Furthermore, Dr. Turco discussed how runes were thought to have magical significance and would be used in incantations. Okay, yeah. And would be used in incantations, in rituals, and there is a sacrifice connection in mythology poetry. Turco tape statement, 1440 to 1500, according to police reports, Brad Holder told Amber Holder that he and Patrick Westfall had a falling out over something that happened in the woods near a river during a ritual. Were they carved? Wait, there's no carving. Oh well. In other words, here is what Holman did not write in his report. Now watch how they flourish this thing here. Turco told me that it was a given that the arrangements of the sticks were part of a runic script. No, he didn't. Investigators have learned that runes are a feature of those two practices, Odinism, and those who practice Odinism are sometimes aligned with racist extremist groups. Brad Holder's son, and some type of dating relationship with one of the victims, Brad Holder, was an Odinist fascinated with runes, which are found throughout his Facebook page. Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall were also affiliated with racist extremist groups. But what does racist anything have to do with this case? They seem really into bringing up the racist extremist group to try to tie into this perceived crap that it goes on, right? But why do they keep bringing that up? Because there's no racism here. It has nothing to do with this. Also, Turco admitted that it was extremely plausible that somebody would read something on the internet indicating that Viking religions involved in human sacrifices, and that I bet you I'm just going to guess right now, he doesn't use the word carve in here. I haven't read ahead, but I'm going to bet you he doesn't say the word carve because he realized how ludicrous that was. Let's see. Turco admitted that it was entirely plausible that somebody would read something on the internet indicating that Viking religion involved human sacrifice, and that same person could have an idea that when conducting a human sacrifice, runes should be, well, it does say it, be carved, and the runes have a magical significance and would be used in rituals. Brad Holder told his ex-wife that Brad and Patrick Westfall had a falling out in the woods near a river in February of 2017 due to something that happened at a ritual. Despite the fact that Richard Allen has confessed, we believe that... Okay. Instead of including Turco's words detailed in the previous paragraph, Holman wrote that Turco's findings were inconclusive, and then failed to even mention the word rune, even a single solitary... Now we know who wrote that. Single solitary time. One man, acting alone, with dexterity, that one man... Jesus. If you were trying to hide Turco's actual opinion about the linkage between the stick configurations and a runic script, and the entirely plausible opinion that human sacrifice could be a component of the murders. Listen, I'll tell you what, everybody. I'll believe in all of this if you tell me that Richard Allen was an Odinist. Okay? If you tell me Richard Allen's an Odinist, I'll go, okay, you're onto something. If you were trying to provide an accurate accounting of Turco's opinion, then you would write it as written in paragraph 22. Due to Sergeant Holman's sworn testimony from his August 10, 2023 deposition, Sergeant Holman had a lot at stake when he interviewed Turco. Ideally, in order for Holman's sworn August 10, 2023 testimony to be true, Turco would have told Holman words to the effect of, that configuration is not runic, and therefore that arrangement does not represent Odinism or any type of cult worshipping or any type of group that would have... These guys think like little children. The way they type and write here, they just keep saying, well, I wanted to have a cookie. Now, if I ask you for the cookie in 19 different ways and try to explain it 19 different ways, is there any chance I can still get that cookie? Now listen, I think I'm really hungry, Mommy. I'm really hungry. And I didn't eat yesterday, and you didn't really give me the food that I needed, so I was really hungry and I needed that cookie. Can I have it? No, you cannot. Okay, well, you didn't give me food the week before either. And then had you told me I didn't have any food, I might have taken an apple with me to school that day, and it would have been, oh, give me my cookie, you bastard. Yeah, that's what these guys are doing here, all right? It's just ridiculous. Every paragraph is the same as the other one. Now, if that one didn't work, how about this one? How about this? Okay, how about this one? And yeah. If you are trying to... Okay, we already did the due to Sergeant Holman. This explains why Sergeant Holman initially attempted to hide the identity of the Purdue professor and then attempt to conceal Turco's actual words in Holman's September 22nd, 2023 report that it was a given that someone was trying to replicate a Germanic runic script. Why do they keep saying script? I mean, is that just one letter? Is that what that is? And that it was entirely plausible that a person believed that human sacrifices involved the use of runes. But you said that they were carved, and there hasn't been any. In the defense counsel's experience, some lawyers simply don't listen to a tape recording of an interview, but rather rely on the veracity of police reports that memorialize that interview. So what you're saying is you guys are incredible that you actually went back and listened, and by God, you couldn't believe it. When you thought he did ask for a cookie, and he got that cookie. In this very case, for example, Brad Holder's February 17th, only 3 days after the bodies were found, videotape statement was purportedly erased. Only a short report memorializing that tape interview exists. Therefore, the defense is being forced to... Why don't you go re-interview him? To rely entirely on the words and context, the author. So what they're saying here is, how can we trust the memorialized taped interview if Holman, when he had a memorialized taped interview regarding Odinism, was so off on that, right? That's what they're trying to suggest here. Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's exactly what it says later. Look at this. Therefore, the defense is being forced to rely entirely on the words and context the author of that interview chose to include in that report rather than the entirety of the actual words uttered by Holder. The way that Holman, there you go, memorialized the interview with Turco. See, I haven't read this yet, but see, I could tell that that's where they were going. The way that Holman memorialized his interview with Turco detailed how should cause alarm about the law enforcement choose to include or not include in their report. Hey, look at that. It's a K-Me Wave by Zozo, all the way from Australia. She's asking for a midnight cookie wave. Is that going to happen? We're at 3 hours and 15 minutes. We had a massive lull. Maybe that will help, because I still got quite a bit more to go here. The way that Holman memorialized his interview. The tape recording is the best evidence. What Brad Holder shared with investigators in his February 17, 2017 interview. But let me ask you something. If Brad Holder was part of Odinism and the cops are part of Odinism, that's what they're suggesting here, is that the cops, when they heard what Holder said, covered it up. But let me ask you this. why in the hell would Holder say anything damning on tape to his brethren who are also Odinists, right? Where they have to then cover it up by deleting the tape at some point. Does that make any sense to anybody? Why would you even have the conversation? You just bring him in there and go, hey, Brad, what's going on here? Yeah, we don't, yeah. You know, you would just do a crazy tape. There'd be no reason. Thanks, Sandy Shirley. Don't leave Zozo hanging, you guys. Don't leave Zozo hanging. However, at this time, we are expected to simply accept that the words written by the author of Holder's erased interview provide the full gamut. And they're going to say the same thing about what the hell's his name? The conservation officer. How they can't find the original tape, but it's his writing down of what he heard. What the hell's his name? I can't remember for some reason. Anybody? Dolan. Yeah, Dan Dolan. There you go. Hey, thanks. Ron Logan is not your bish. Are you sure? Matter of fact, hey, Ron, I think well, I think you're more innocent now because they left out the Odinism context in that probable cause document. Or the search warrant probable cause. Thank you, Heather N. It would be highly unlikely that Liggett would admit, I intentionally admitted important information from the affidavit, and I also intentionally include false information in the affidavit. But why would they have, but you're implying that they have a connection to Odinism, so why would they ever have Holder come in and do something on tape anyways, that they would then have to delete later? God, it's just so stupid. Y'all, just a second, I gotta watch this. Gotta get some more air in here. I think I'm running out of air. There we go. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Daphne. I said Dan Doolin, Georgina, like an hour ago. Might want to hit the update button. Thanks, Peter. Awesome. But you guys get the point I'm making? Why would, see what they're implying here is that there's a cover-up, right? Because why wouldn't Holman and everybody else want it to be one of these Odinist people, right? So that's what they're implying, is that there's some sort of, and that's why there's an Odinist that worked at the jail too and everything. They're trying to imply this overarching theme. But if that's true, why in the hell would they even have Holder come in and have a tape that's so damning that they then had to delete and then write a narrative that didn't match it? Do you get what I'm saying? It's so stupid. Why would you have him come in at all? You come in and you go, yeah, you sit down and just have him just shoot the, just have him say stuff that's not true. Or whatever, if you're part of a conspiracy. It has been a pretty good show, hasn't it, Daphne? And yet everybody bailed when we switched over to Delphi. Do you guys get what I'm saying, though? I want you to get it. Yeah, we already went through that, Slackjaw. Get the hell out of here. Let's see what I got. No cover up. The open. Yeah, Slackjaw is just a troll, you can tell. Let's see. Yes, it has freaks and... Yeah, so most of you get it, I hope. Okay. Holder kills the girls and tries his hardest to let the cops know it was him, and then post it on Facebook about it. Yeah, does that make any sense? Ron Logan is not your bish. Yeah. Let's see. If the standard to get to a Frank's hearing is that law enforcement must admit that they acted intentionally or recklessly, then a Frank's hearing is a legal fiction, as no law enforcement officer will make that admission. Therefore, the defense is left with providing information of times and occasions when law enforcement attempted to conceal evidence or falsely and falsify information in other context in the case. So maybe, oh, that's what they're trying to say? Okay, but what part in... Then what are you... Okay, so you're bringing up other stuff, but what are you referring to in the search warrant? That was... I guess what they're saying in the search warrant, there's a couple of those things that they say that Betsy Blair actually said something else. Sarah Carbaugh said something else. Those are things that, you know, may or may not have had an effect. But I think they have different information. You know, when you go through the probable cause document, it absolutely shows that Richard Allen is the person that was on the bridge. It virtually proves that. Let's see. Franks 1 and 2 provided multiple examples of law enforcement concealing or attempting to conceal evidence of law enforcement not telling the truth under oath, all backed up with exhibits. So what this is trying to do now is bringing up stuff unrelated to give more weight to the other lies that they're saying that was made. Well, thanks, Wendy Van Rokel. Yeah. And by the way, hey, Slackjaw, are you from Australia? Because I remember that was one of the words in by Men at Work on the song Down Under. With a slack jaw and not much to say. Remember that part? Glad you keep us well informed. All right. In Section 3 of the September 18, 2023 Franks Memorandum, the defense provided irrefutable evidence that Liggett provided false information in his affidavit concerning the words, there you go, that Sarah Carbaugh spoke face-to-face with Tony Liggett in 2017 when describing the man she saw on the road just before 4 p.m. Liggett told Judge Diener that the man Carbaugh observed was the same man Betsy Blair observed on the Monon High Bridge approximately 2 hours earlier. The problem was that Carbaugh told Liggett in 2017 concerning this man's description was not the same as Betsy Blair's description. Liggett then misrepresented Carbaugh. But here's the thing, everybody. See, when Richard Allen made it to the bridge, I guess we have to go back to... right here. Ding 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 ding. So when Richard Allen made it to the bridge here, remember those three girls are here at 12:43. Use them as like human scanners, right? So they're walking this direction and didn't see any males. So that means Richard Allen wasn't there prior. They kept walking. And then at 126, they took a picture by this bench right here. Then they kept walking this way. And then Richard Allen, who had parked here, he comes in and passes the three girls. They saw him, he saw them, they saw him, and he saw them, and they all admit it. So that means he got there at 120. He got here at like 128, or not 128. Yeah, 128. And 129, he's probably getting out of his vehicle. About 134 over here when he passes the girls. Then he would get to the bridge over here at 144. And that's when Betsy Blair comes down. And he's standing on platform 1 here. And then Betsy Blair walks this way, passes Abby and Libby, who are heading towards Richard Allen. Then they continue to walk this way. Or Betsy Blair does, not they. Betsy Blair walks this way, comes all the way likely over here to the Freedom Bridge, turns around, comes back, and does not see another male, and then gets in her car at 2:14. So that means during that time there was not another person. However, Abby and Libby would have had to pass Richard Allen, but Richard Allen doesn't admit to ever seeing them. He had to have seen them. Then, after that, they, obviously takes them down the hill, and they're over here at the crime scene, and that's why nobody else that came saw another person, because there was multiple people there from like 2:45 to 3:30. There were other people there, and none of them saw the same person that the three girls saw and that Betsy Blair saw. I like that wording that I used tonight. It seemed like it was just better. All right. Liggett then misrepresented Carbaugh's words so that they were consistent with Blair's description, and then for good measure added that Carbaugh observed blood on the man walking on the road, when that is not what she told Liggett to his face. Notice how they keep saying in 2017. So obviously there's a later date where they may have sat down with her again and she remembered things differently. And so they're using that one. The defense would ask for the court to reread Section 3 in its entirety and also to review the attached exhibits to the September 18, 2023 Frank's memo that provide the absolute proof that Liggett misrepresented Carbaugh's words. The defense would ask the court to reread, okay, we already did. The defense would ask the court to reread the rest of the Franks 1 and 2 in order to gain perspective. Oh man, nobody wants to read through one man acting alone with dexterity, pulled the right arm out of the right sleeve. Then that same single solitary man acting with dexterity put the hand next to the side. Then that single solitary man acting alone with dexterity pulled the right hand out of... I mean, does anybody really want to do that one? You gotta be kidding me. I have. Ethel has it right up there. See, there's a lot of posers out there, like Greeno and the like, who pretend that they've been covering this case since the beginning. They haven't been. Maybe 2017 at some point, but I've been covering the case. My first video was February 22nd, or maybe even the 21st, because I had to re-upload that one, of 2017, not even 10 days after the murders, but I was already talking about the case, trying to figure things out. When I finally figured something out, that was when I made my first video, and I've been covering it ever since. All right, and I've been doing it the same way the whole time. Debunking the crazy people and putting out and finding out factual information. I remember interviewing, I think it was a phone call with Becky, trying to get the time. She was saying, okay, it looks like on the phone records that at 3:11 Derek called Libby, and then at 3:14 called Libby, and that's right when he got to the parking area. Then he got out, got to the trails at like 3:15, then walked down the 505 trail, and then he came back up. We have it all. And then he called at 3:57. He called Becky, which is crazy because 3:57 is almost the exact time the Muddy and Bloody. And that must have been so close because he was at the parking area. I mean, it's almost possible that Derek saw him somehow. I mean, it's wild, you know? Yeah. See, Gray saying Derek's at the crime scene, everybody. Did you hear, Gray? That's not what I said. Okay. The defense would ask the court to reread Section 3. The defense would read the whole damn 1 and 2. This third Frank's notice provides additional evidence of omitted information of which Judge Diener should have been advised concerning 3 phones shown to be moving in and around the crime scene. No, he shouldn't have been advised because it's unrelated to Richard Allen, okay? This third Frank's notice provides additional evidence that Sergeant Holman's sworn deposition testimony was false concerning the findings of the Purdue professor, as Turco's own words confirm in September 19th, 2023. Okay, this third Frank's notice provides additional evidence of law enforcement intentionality of concealing evidence, as Sergeant Holman's September 22nd, 2023 report attempts to conceal the actual words. See how they keep repeating the same thing? Yeah, like my mom always used to say, Gray, it doesn't matter how many times you ask me or how you ask me, the answer is no. You see, that's exactly what these guys do. That's that whole cookie analogy. Yeah. And that's when you go ask somebody else. And so that's what they're trying to get her recused or removed from the case, right? So they can ask for the same cookie to a new judge, and maybe that judge will give you the cookie. Yeah, so it says Holman had sworn under oath that Turco did not find Odinism or cults as being involved in the murders. Well, he didn't, right? Because maybe he said something like, God, it could be. But Turco's own words show Holman's testimony to be false. It was in Holman's best interest, therefore, to admit or water down much of Turco's own words in his report, which is exact. I sent that guy an email, by the way. I wanted to see if he'd respond. I said, what rune did you see exactly of those sticks? Crickets. Crickets. The defense is asking, based upon this third Frank's notice as well as the other Frank's notices, to set this matter for a Frank's hearing to argue that all fruits, see, this is it. This is where they're going here. They know, the defense knows that the fruits born from, why would they even care here? They know that the fruit bore from the search warrant is absolutely going to nail Richard Allen. He is toast. Okay? So they're trying as hard as they can to get. So here's the whole key right here, everybody. Try to pay attention. I know it's hard. The defense is asking, based upon this third Frank's notice as well as the other Frank's notices, to set this matter for a Frank's hearing to argue that all the fruits of the search of Richard Allen's home be suppressed. Yeah, and guess what? This is not happening. Okay, it's not happening. And they know that what they got from his home is absolutely devastating, and they don't ever tell it to the little buddies like Snay and all the other whack jobs that say, he's totally innocent, everybody. He's innocent. He's an innocent man, even though he's confessed to his mom and his mother and various other people during that time. Additionally, the defense requests that on this serious matters raised in Frank's 1 and 2 and 3, as well as the exhibits that back up those matters, the court issues finding of facts and conclusions of law as to how and why the court ruled in whatever manner it rules on the defense request. That on the serious matter raised in Frank's 1, 2, and 3, as well as the exhibits that backed up those matters. You mean the crime scene photos that you gave to Mitch Westerman, who then distributed them on the internet? The court issues finding, when he gave them to Robert Fortson, who then gave them to Mark Cohen, trying to do this really deep giving to this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, so it'll never make it back to you. But when it got back to you, you then claim that Westerman goes into the office and takes photographs of pictures he already has, because he already had the Frank's memorandum with its attachments. Yeah. Wherefore, the defense counsel by counsel respectfully requests that this court set a Frank's hearing, and also for to issue findings of fact and conclusions of law as to the reasoning for the ruling. And the answer is no. All right? If I was a judge, I'd look at that and go, yeah. Because here's the thing. The judge probably has seen the reality of things. Like, well, listen, Judge, look at, we interviewed her at another time, and this is what she told us. So we're using that one. Are we required to put in this that one time she said this and one time she, you know. Everybody there said the guy on the bridge is the person they saw. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. that was a long show, but I thought it was a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, we just went through. I mean, if you were watching this show, man, you got caught up on a ton of things, man. It was like, it's pretty good. Oh, not a worry. Ding, ding, ding. That document is, yeah. Let's see. Let's get to the. I'm gonna say thank you to. Man, you know that without. I mean, everybody helped out on here, but we had Caligal 3 jump in there, and guess what? We were $1 short of the goal without that one. That's pretty good. Anyways, Dan Hawk, Ron Logan is not your bish, K Me, Amber Maiden, Paulette Leonard, Angela Alex, Becca, Caligal 3. Actually, she had that one too. A Blank Slate, Angela Alex, Claudia Neubauer, Eugenie, Pancakes, Plato. I don't see Eugenie type as much as she used to. Puff Puff Fay, Kubi, Alley Cake, Puff Puff Fay, Katja T, Becca's, I've learned a lot. Well, good. That's a name. That's actually a YouTube name. I've learned a lot. And that's why she'll always be here. Michelle H, Puff Puff Fay, Reckham Stop, Nona 617. No, we're not short. Lisa Oldhams, Puff Puff Fay again, Ozzy Trisha, Lisa Wilkerson. Ray, thank you for covering this. Prayers for this young man. Then Caligal 3 with the double cat eye in there. Then Tawny Lee gifted a membership. Bridget Bauman gifted a membership. Kay Me gifted a membership. Jessica Schubach gifted a membership. Then Lisa Wilkerson again. And then Nikki Zibs gifted a membership. Gummo gifted a membership. LM gifted a membership. Then I gifted 5 memberships. So you guys did 7, and I did 5. And then we got Robin, Ozzy Trisha, Lisa Wilkerson again, K Me, Zozo, Sandy Shirley, Ron Logan is your bish, Heather N, Daphne, Peter and Wendy Van Rokel. Awesome. Do we got a troll in here tonight? What do we got? Oh yeah, he does sound. That is what he does. No, he's not telling the truth. Chanel, he's not telling the truth. Hey, Chanel Paris. I know you're way behind, but it isn't the way he sounds. It's because I believe him. The proof has to be on the clown that you believed. All right. So Chanel Paris is in here saying, you don't believe him because the way he sounds, that's absurd. Because I don't believe in the David Solomon's claims against people. I don't believe him at all. All right. And so maybe something's true out there somewhere, but it has nothing to do with the people that he was talking about on that show. And I'm sorry that you believe that, Chanel. All right, you sound like a lunatic yourself. So thank you all very much for being here tonight. Appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for reaching the goal. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Did you find it interesting? Put a 1 if you thought it was interesting. It just kind of kept going and going and going. 3 hours and 40 minutes. Hopefully they're not a registered voter. Yeah. Yeah, the proof needs to be on David Solomon, or he doesn't say a damn thing. If he can't prove it, then don't say a freaking thing. It's garbage. You can tell authorities, and then they can go look into it, but you can't be out there just inventing stuff on people. 1.5. Whoa! Ethel, man, that's pretty good there. UG information? What's that mean? All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. Hey, by the way, what's Blue and Chloe doing? Are they? Oh man. God, that dog is just a horrible life he has, isn't it? God, what a nightmare. There they are. All right, anyways, be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, thug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya, gonna sketch ya if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody, talk to you later. Hey, by the way, everybody, it's nice to see a lot of new faces around here, so thank you for watching. You know, I don't remember, you know, there's people like, I don't know, Shadow Aspect and Raja River, and I don't know if I've seen, I think I've seen Ken Weber. I don't know, maybe not, but all right, anyways, there's a lot of new people out here, so thank you for being here as well, and we'll see you guys later. All right, be safe out there.
Good night, everybody. Gee.
There she goes. There she goes.